Yeah, we should be starting up pretty soon. So, yeah, we should be live now. So, for those watching, welcome. This is the Andres Restart podcast. I am Andres Restart. We do this every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And this week, I am joined by Mandy from MandyleePlays and Brandon from WhataboutNintendo.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm doing well.
I just noticed your Jigglypuff shirt, by the way. I hate
Oh,
Jigglypuff.
thank you. You do?
In Smash Brothers. It's like
Oh, well.
whenever I'm playing Smash and I do like is it Smashdown where no not Smashdown. I forget, I always mix up the names. The one
The special beatdown?
the 5v5. When you do 5v5.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
I keep calling it Smashdown, but it's not actually called Smashdown. Anyway, but the 5v5, I just press randoms with my friend, and I get paired, and if I get Jigglypuff, I'm like, alright, well, I got 4 characters, because it doesn't count for me. If I'm lucky, I'll get like 20-30% with Jigglypuff. I suck with him.
Damn.
I'll say, though, that I got better than I used to, because I used to not be able to do the whole bubble knockout with Jigglypuff. I think it's down B, right? Up B is the sleep attack, and then down B. I learned how to actually land it now. You have to be like literally on top of the other character, not behind or in front, but like on top of them, and that will actually cause the knockout attack. But I'm not good enough to get to win with it, so it counts as like I hate Jigglypuff. So I'm sorry.
Well, keep on practicing.
The character though is
Maybe you could be a Jigglypuff main.
No.
I see it.
I don't.
It's destiny.
Well, I'll give you this. If I do beat someone with Jigglypuff, it's very satisfying because Jigglypuff is trash, and if I beat you with trash, that makes you trash. So it's fun. Yeah.
Well, I think you could get to Elite Smash with Jigglypuff.
I can't get to Elite Smash even with my best characters, so
You just gotta practice.
yeah, a lot.
I
But
know.
the problem.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, the problem with that though is that I've been playing a lot of Xenoblade lately. I have no time for
yeah.
Smash. I don't have enough time to practice Smash because I'm playing Xenoblade, and I really like it a lot.
A lot.
Oh, a yeah, a lot. So
Me
that's,
too. Like, I'm so addicted. It's ridiculous.
yeah, I've right now I am in the.
I'm on chapter 11, I believe.
You're ahead of me. I'm in
Yeah.
Alchemon.
I'm steamrolling.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of side quests though. Like maybe not. I'm not
Yeah.
doing 100% of the side quests, but I'm doing most of them, and I'll probably go back and backtrack. Like I think this time around, I'm gonna try and 100% the game, or at least get really close. And I'm actually like trying different loadouts with the different characters and mixing and matching. I'm not just going with a certain 3 for my party. I'm trying different combinations.
I wish they had 4. Like,
I wish you could use all of them, so you wouldn't have to feel bad.
thank you. I feel
Yeah.
I never used what's her name?
Melia?
Melia. Yeah, I barely use her because I don't know how to use her, and I don't want to practice because I'm gonna die. I always use Shulk, and I always use Ryan. I don't use Dumban because,
Okay.
and I use what's her name?
Charlotte?
The healer.
Yeah,
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
'Cause she heals.
Yeah, my
So
first
she's like
playthrough.
necessary.
Yeah, my first playthrough when I played it years ago, it was Shulk and then Ryan and Charlotte in the back. I feel like that's like the core 3. But
Yeah.
right now I'm experimenting. I played a little bit with Ricky. He's adorable. But right now I'm
Oh,
thinking
I forgot about
yeah, he's cool though. I think he can actually make a pretty good set with him, or any of them really.
Adorable.
But
I like to dress him up.
yes, right now I have him in a cat suit.
It's so adorable.
Yeah, and Charlotte, I have Charlotte wearing like this little gray top hat.
Yeah.
You can't. It's
I
funny
have
when you see her in the
this
cutscenes.
Mm.
You can't take her seriously. Yeah. So yeah, Brandon, how is life for you? What's going on?
Yeah, I've been good. Actually, I've been playing, other than just Xenoblade, I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons because I
Okay.
have Xbox Game Pass, and so I got it with that, and it's been really good. I haven't played a lot of it. I just started like yesterday. I played like 3 hours of it, but it's really fun. I'm already pretty addicted to it and trying to get all the chests in each of the areas and make sure I fill in each little bit of the map. Because they have these, I love games that have the mini maps that like fill in as you actually go to the different areas. Because I was addicted to filling in like every pixel.
Hate that.
So, do you now feel like Steve should be added to Smash?
No.
Okay, good. All right. So for those watching, what we're gonna be talking about today, obviously anything kind of goes here in terms of, as long as it's like Nintendo, we're gonna talk about it. If you have a question in the chat, at one of us, we'll try and get to it, of course. But the main topics that we're gonna be focusing on are related to recent Zelda rumors, Breath of the Wild 2 rumors, like actual stuff that pertains to what the game may entail, which is interesting. So we'll talk about that and speculate about it. But we're also going to be talking a little bit about the recent Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC trailer that came out. We got some more information about that, and we got a release date. I was one day off with my prediction, by the way, so I feel pretty good about that. And then we'll be talking about Smash, because that's also supposed to sort of happen this month. So
Smash is still a thing.
It is still a thing, exactly. So those are the focuses. But, before we do, I'm going to let people roll into the chat, and we'll check in with you guys in a little bit. But I want to continue this discussion a little bit more on Xenoblade, because as I was saying before we went live, I really, really, really like this game. I'm having such a good time with it. But I don't think I've gotten either your opinions on it, at least not like live yet, right? Because Brandon, you weren't here last week. No, you weren't.
No, I wasn't.
You were not.
No.
So we haven't talked about it yet. So I know you both are playing it, but how much do you like it? Like how would you compare it to the original or Xenoblade 2? Like, what are your overall thoughts on the game so far?
My thoughts, I really, really am enjoying it. I haven't gone to play it as much as you guys, just I haven't had time, and when it came out, I was out of state, so I had to wait for it to come back and ship to me. So I have about 10 hours in the game right now. I've been trying to get through it as much as I can now that I have more time. But the thing I've noticed is I feel like the battle system is definitely simpler. It's definitely not as in-depth as Xenoblade 2 or Torna, and I definitely like those better. It's more simple. There's less to do during battles, in my opinion. And the side quests aren't as good. I do think the world is way cooler, though. The idea of two Titans by themselves, but comparing it, going back and actually playing through the battle system and doing the side quests, a lot of them are just, go kill 4 of these monsters and 2 of these monsters and 3 of these monsters. Oh, you killed them. Okay,
move them on the way to the next point.
Yeah. It's at least. I don't hate the side quests because they're like really easy to do. So the way the system has been set up now with how easy it is to go to them and see them and track them, and like you said, man, you can kind of do it as you sort of just explore the world.
I love that the exclamation points come up for side quests for all your side quests instead of just
I would be so lost.
Specified.
Yeah.
God, if I had to go back and like specify each and every single one, that would be really annoying. But no, it's actually really nice.
It's really nice, but I also feel like we can't go back. Like, the way the system is for side quests now, it has to at least be that for every Xenoblade game moving forward. Like, if they remaster Xenoblade X and they bring that to Switch, they need to employ these exact same mechanics with the map and the side quest exclamation points. All of that has to be implemented, and any other new Xenoblade game, that as well. Like, that has to be a standard moving forward, I think.
I agree. It's a really nice feature.
Yeah, but
could be better, but alright. At least they tell you where to go.
Yeah.
I don't have to go out of my way to do something big.
Yeah.
So
I guess for me, the side quests, I like them because, just some of the characters I just think are funny. Like, I legit was like talking to a drunk Nopon in Alchemoth. And he's like, I'm addicted to alcohol. What do I do? You know what? You should get me some medicine. Get me some medicine to teach me to stop drinking. And then I'm like, oh, well, sure. All right. This is fine.
Yeah, some of them are like cool, but other than just like throw away, beat monster.
Yeah.
Get money. I love how they had the quest achieved. You don't have to go back
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes it easy.
talk to
super
the
nice.
quest giver. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, that
'Cause I
definitely is
just
better.
wrote through a
I
bunch
need to
of
go back.
quests on the way to my other point, and I don't have to go back. Keep going back and forth. No, some you do, but most of them you don't.
Right. I think for the sum that you do, there's like some sort of reason for it, like because it's not like the end of the quest. There's like various stages to it. Like one I have in mind is when you're going through is it Satori or Satoral? I'm not sure if it's an L or an I.
Satoral.
The Satoral March. When you're going through there, there's like this hidden tomb place with like the lizard people, and there's a quest related to that. And you can go there, take out the dude on the throne, save an Opon, and then you have to go back, report the news, and they're like, oh wait, but there's this hidden secret chamber, and then you go back to the tomb again, and you have to find a secret chamber in there, and that leads to like the top, and you find something really cool there. So like, there's some certain circumstances where it makes sense because there's like some story related to it, but yeah, like for the most part, you just kind of once you do it, you don't have to worry about it, and you get your money and experience, and that's it. It's simple, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm loving the game so far. Like,
It's gorgeous.
I can't put it down. I love
Yeah.
the story. The story is very. I mean, I already knew it before, but it's very like. I can see where they're going with it, and how it connects it to or whatever. So it's pretty cool.
Have you
And
gone to
yeah,
play Future Connected yet, or are you waiting?
I haven't beat the game. I'm gonna beat the game and then go to Future Connected.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me, which could be a really long time from now because
That game is like so much in the game.
Right now I'm doing like every single side quest, but I'm pretty sure once I get to like 20-30 hours, and I'm gonna kind of get tired of that and just start blazing.
Yeah,
through
you
the
just
story.
go. I'm not
gonna get to
saying
a
it's
time
like
where I'm
all
like,
the side quests, but
I've done enough Monster Hunting side quests. I'm good.
I just remember when I first played the game, like there was this point where I'm like, oh, this has to be the end of the game, and the game was like, no, this is maybe like the halfway point, and there's all this other game left.
I know what
It's a
you're
very
talking
long
about.
game.
Yeah,
It's like, damn,
I think
there's still so much we don't know.
yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but I think the tower that you're trying to get to at the top, I'm not sure if that's what I thought was the end when I first was playing the game, but
Oh no, it's too short.
yeah,
I think it was something a little bit further ahead than that.
maybe, but
It gets complicated.
it completely changes, like, because I know there's a whole bunch of areas I explored before. I'm like, okay, how do I end up, like, I don't really remember how I got to certain points in the game, but yeah, there's still a lot left. Like, if you think you're getting close to the end, you probably aren't. Like, this game's it's legit a 100-hour adventure, so you're gonna, yeah, like if you skip all the side quests, maybe it's not 100 hours. Maybe you could like rush through it
Maybe
and
like
beat it in like
60 to 80.
yeah, you could probably rush it, but a game would probably also be harder because you'd be getting less experience and less money, so you wouldn't be able to afford as much armor, and you'd be losing a lot more fights. So
Getting the 100 grand from Xenoblade 2 save data was really nice.
yeah, I appreciate
Nothing.
that.
I went through that money like
Yeah,
so fast.
Yeah, it's really just a couple side quests worth of money. Like it was nice
But
to have
you
at the
could
beginning.
afford all. You
It
could
was
afford
nice
the
to
best
have.
armor in the shop straight
Mhm.
from the beginning. So
Yeah,
that
that
was
is true.
powerful.
We did have that, so I did like that. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying the game. We're gonna be talking about this game for over a month, just for the record, because that's what I'm gonna be playing for like a month probably.
I wanted to talk about like story stuff, but that's spoiler territory.
Yeah. How do you feel about, like, I guess, because they changed a lot about the game. You know, some people was like, oh, it's a remaster, oh, it's a remake. I think it's on the spectrum. But like, I do think that they did a good job of changing the facial animations, like not just the model, but the actual expressions. Like, so when you see the cutscenes now, the characters actually evoke some emotion. It's not just like this texture that's opening his mouth going no. There's like, you know, you see like a sad face or like fear, and that I think adds to the cutscenes. So I at least feel like the story is impressing me more now because of that, even though some of the cutscenes are awkward because they still have like the awkward walking talking animations, because there's like, you have like your in-game cutscene, then you have like those cutscenes where they just stop and talk, and then there's obviously the ones that have like amazing fight choreography. Those are like the really good ones that don't look awkward, but there's like that mid-tier where you just see them walk around with the walking animations, and it's, you know, it looks like it's from an old game.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 definitely has, and X have way better cutscene quality.
Yes.
But I do really appreciate the lighting changes.
Yeah.
And all like the different special effects look way better. And the lighting makes everything look way more dark and like drastic is the word coming to mind, but I don't think it's the word I mean. But it just looks way cooler. And then you got like the bloom coming off the lights on the Mechon and stuff. It looks a lot cooler. So
yeah, there's definitely some artifacts of the original game there, but it's enough changes where I still feel like I'm playing a modern day Xenoblade game. It just has like some awkward animations with some low res textures, but for the most part, everything looks pretty modernized. Yeah, that's my
The thing
vibe.
that stands out the most to me is just some of the geometry on the environments themselves are really low poly. But they look nice because they're lit well and the textures are way better. But you can kind of tell the shape of them is like still from the original game.
Yeah, you know, it's cool because, and by the way, we're gonna get to chat before we jump into the Zelda topic, just for the record, guys. But I'm saying this now because I'm gonna take us on a tangent. So I just think it's interesting that, like, if Nintendo defines this as a remaster, I know on their Japanese Twitter they referred to this as a remaster, but translations, you know how that can be. They didn't call it a remake or a remaster. They called it Definitive Edition, but some people would consider this a remaster by today's standards.
It's whatever. Whatever you want it to
it's
be.
an enhancement. Whatever you want to call it. It's an enhancement over the previous game, right? I think everyone can agree it's an enhancement. So, but bearing that in mind, though, what if Nintendo were to do something similar with, say, either Metroid Prime Trilogy or these rumored Mario remasters? Like, if their idea of enhancing or remastering a game is basically what they did for Definitive Edition, how amazing could Prime Trilogy or the Mario remasters be? Like, if they enhance those games to the extent they enhance Definitive Edition, okay, like that's really freaking good. That is more than I expect.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. That's definitely a lot more than what they did for Wind Waker or Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
So.
Which, oddly, I think a lot of people called Wind Waker HD back in the day a remake, but by today's
doesn't
standards,
matter. It's like I hate the argument. It's so like stupid. It is what it is.
Yeah.
If you want to call it a remake, then a remake. Remaster, then remaster. Like a definitive, whatever.
a game.
Ultra high.
They're just buzzwords to. So
I mean, they probably mean something when you're talking about like development and stuff like that, but when you're just talking, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
As long as the game looks, good enough for you, then there you go.
Yeah, but I guess I focus my question to where there is like less room for interpretation. Do you think that from what we've seen with Definitive Edition, that sort of changes the expectation of what we should see from Nintendo in terms of their enhanced or redone games?
I think that Xenoblade was a weird case because the art style was not meant for like a more anime-ish style.
Mm-hmm.
It was going for a more realistic thing, but then they pivoted to more anime, so they wanted to make it look like Xenoblade 2. So that's just my theory. And that's why they went all out with the new models and stuff. And plus, they were ugly. So they kind of had to.
Really bad.
They couldn't put that on the Switch and call it a $60 game. Heck no. So, I mean, each game has its own case. Like Mario probably won't need much. A little shine
I think
here
Mario
and
64 would.
polish. Well, yeah, because Mario 64, but like sunshine, things like that, you probably just need to spruce it up a bit. change the gameplay a little bit tighter, and boom, definitive edition.
I'll say that I think if they gave the definitive edition approach to Mario 64, that would be enough. Like, so Mario 64, what you would do is you replace the character models, and you spruce up the geometry a little bit for the environments, and then you clean up the textures and just clean up the lighting, which is a lot, right? Which is what they did for definitive edition, but that would probably be enough to make Mario 64 look pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Mario's pretty easy, but not like this big JRPG adventure stuff.
True, it's not as big of a game. Yeah,
The game.
that's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I that's interesting. It is not as big of a game, so you got to think that the amount of work they put into, like the amount of work it would take to do all the graphics that they did for definitive edition is a lot, because not only did they do a 100+ hour game, which has massive worlds, but also they gave us Future Connected and epilogue story. So if the Mario remasters, which almost assuredly will have a much bigger sales potential, maybe it's not so crazy to expect them to put a similar amount of effort into that. And each Mario game is not that long compared to, say, Xenoblade. I would make the argument that you could probably beat, you could probably more easily 100% those 3 Mario games than it would be to 100% just Xenoblade. Especially if you factor in Future Connected.
I would love to see like Pokemon Sword and Shield remaster. Like, what would that look like?
Maybe. I think maybe like 10 years from now we'll see a remake of it. Maybe. 1080p 60 FPS, that'd be nice.
That game is not gonna hold up in the future. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the DLC though in a little bit. That would be, I think it's going to be interesting to talk about. But now let's check in with the chat. See how people are doing here. Hello there, Melee Fox, Alex Rodriguez, Beverly Carter, the GOAT. Saw you guys were here early. Riza Hydra. Hello there, Captain Rex. Danger Noodle. Oh, you love the discussion topics for this week. Well, me too. The Joker. Wait, what? You're dealing with a tropical storm? Oh, be careful. Be safe out there.
There's a tropical storm? Jesus.
You didn't know? I wouldn't know.
I went for it.
I guess it's not hitting South Florida. Let's see here. Super Chris, hello there. What is this talk of Waluigi? Super Chris is saying, honestly, I think people need to leave Sakurai alone about Waluigi not being in Smash. Well,
people are so... I don't get...
Well, we never give up.
It's not their own grave on that.
Maybe Waluigi can make it sometime in the future. Like,
I think it's just vendetta at this point. Waluigi's never gonna come.
I just think he needs to have a more significant role in a game. I think him just being one of the many side characters in a Mario Sports title or Mario Party is not really enough to get a spot. You can make the argument, oh, but what about Daisy? Well, firstly, Daisy's been around for a lot longer, and she's actually been, if I remember correctly, like Daisy was like the damsel in a couple Mario games. Like I think Mario Land on the Game Boy was Daisy instead of Peach you had to save. And on top of that, she was a much easier echo. She's obviously an echo of Peach. Waluigi is not an obvious echo of any character, so it's a little different.
And people did a beg for her, so
yeah.
Waluigi is more like, that's the community's fault. Y'all did that.
I don't know. What do you think, Brandon?
I think Waluigi could be one of those characters they add into the base roster of the next Smash game.
If anything.
20 million years from now, when that comes
That would be a good reveal, though, because Waluigi has become a meme in the Smash community, so if it comes out that he's actually in the game, that would be up there with freaking Cloud's reveal, because minds would be blown for this twig-looking guy.
Waluigi finally in Smash. It would be
I don't
funny.
know how they would do it.
Yeah, it would be funny.
Like, they have to play it off in such a way where, like, people are like, oh, you're just trolling, but no, it's for real. Imagine they did like a mock reveal. Not like the ones that they do with a little tease. No, like they went, oh, and the character does this and that, but then they're like, oh, we're just playing. That would be horrible. That would be horrible. I take that back.
Horrible.
I'm seeing here that Griefing Golem is saying, is confirming what I was saying earlier. Super Mario Land was Daisy's only game outside of the spin-offs. Okay, yeah, I remember playing Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, and it was not Peach, it was Daisy. So, but my point is, that was a main Mario game. Waluigi hasn't had that. I think once Waluigi has a significant role in a primary Mario game, then his bid for a Smash spot as an actual fighter gets a lot higher, because then you can see his moveset fleshed out a little bit more. Like, say there's like a new big Wario game and Waluigi has a role in that. That would be interesting. Or, go on.
A freaking piranha plant is in the game.
Piranha Plant's cool as hell.
Like, it's, you know, like Waluigi would have been there if people didn't whine about Waluigi so much. It's just now you can't, because, you know, the community kind of like kind of ruined it for Waluigi. Not gonna lie, y'all dug your own grave on that one.
I think for Smash Ultimate maybe, but I wouldn't say that they wouldn't put it in, you know, forever. But definitely doesn't seem like they want him in for this game. I don't expect to see him in the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And the criteria for characters getting in is always different. Like Piranha Plant, what criteria did he fall under? A Mario character. That's it.
Yeah.
He even have arms and legs. Like, nobody expected that. I think part of it's shock value. Another one is Smash is very lucrative.
True.
So whoever, you know, puts the most to Nintendo gets a spot, because if your character's on Smash, that's like a guarantee people will look at the character more, like Joker.
Oh yeah.
Even though their games are not on the Switch, which boggles my mind.
Hey, Persona 5 Scramble though.
One thing I think the character should be on a Nintendo console in one way or another. So Joker being there was just kind of like a joke. Like, I was like, okay, I love Joker, but can we get Persona on the Switch?
I feel like it's gonna happen sooner or later. I feel like it's gonna happen sooner or later.
Right.
I also think that Banjo-Kazooie as a remaster or some sort of rare replay thing will happen sooner or later, but I mean...
That one's easier, but working with Atlus is like, you never know.
We've also been waiting years for Shin Megami Tensei.
Their own games to their own console. Like, they won't port Persona 3 or 4 to the PlayStation 4. Why? Who knows? But they keep making spin-offs like a factory, so I'm like, okay.
I'll also say that we haven't seen Cloud. Well, we got Final Fantasy VII, like the original, on Switch not too long ago.
Yeah, but that was like a rare exception to the rule, because we did get it eventually, and the game was old at that point.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
Well, my point is that we got Cloud like years before we even got the Final Fantasy VII old port on Switch. So
that one is a rare exception.
We're at least getting Persona 5 Scramble on Switch, which isn't, you know, Persona 5 the Royal, but it's something, you know.
I played Royal, and that game screams being played on a handheld outside, or it just would make a good addition, make Atlus a bunch of money, because people will rebuy that thing. I would, again, and it'll introduce people to the series, because not everyone has a PlayStation, nor do people know Persona. Like, oh, who's Joker? Oh, he's from Persona. Oh, what is that? It's a game that's not on the Switch. Oh, whoops. It's like, I feel that Atlus should have ported something. And yeah, we get Scramble, but they didn't have to make a new game. They could just port their... This is why I don't get Atlus. I don't understand their train of thought. Instead of porting their games to a newer console, they'd much rather churn out all these spin-offs. Oh, and Shin Megami Tensei is nowhere to be found.
I wonder if it just is a deal between them and Sony, because
But even
I feel like
then,
this has to be related because you're seeing the mainline Persona 5 games coming out on PlayStation, and you're seeing spin-offs come out elsewhere. I understand your point you're making. Like, it makes more sense to get Persona 5 Royal on Switch as opposed to Persona 5 making Persona 5 Scramble. Totally agree with you. I probably would have maybe bought it on Switch, but I have not really any interest in Scramble. So I kind of agree, but I just makes me wonder if maybe there's a deal involved that explains as to why it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, but they don't really port their games to the PlayStation. Like, one of the best Persona games is still on the damn Vita, a dead console, because they won't port it to the PlayStation 4. And I'm just like, oh, well, you guys are just stupid.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say more to that, but I just don't know that enough about Persona, so I can't.
I'm curious why exactly Nintendo picked Joker. Like, what's in it for them?
There's no, I don't know. I tried to understand these companies, but I just can't sometimes.
They didn't get really anything out of it.
Well, they got a lot of attention.
People to buy their,
a lot of attention. That was the opening. That was the opening character for all of these paid Smash DLC. Because at the time you could get Piranha Plant for free. So
you're expecting some big clout on the Switch.
And it was revealed on at the Game Awards. Like I said, I totally agree that Persona 5 should come to Switch. Maybe it will happen sooner or later, but it hasn't happened yet.
It's a frustration that companies are dumb sometimes. Well, I think. I don't know what their business plan is, but for a consumer, I'm like, that could have made you so much money, and you're just like making a new game.
I'll say that when you think about the Wii U in hindsight, it seems like a really stupid decision, and maybe it was, but you also got to think, why would they have come to that decision? They had to have a lot of paid professionals look at the numbers, do the research, know the industry, and come to these decisions. Like, how did Nintendo decide the Wii U was okay? You know, like, how did they do that?
Atlus specifically, because they're notorious for making dumb decisions at this point without really explaining. Because they're owned by Sega, and Sega ain't the biggest brain in the bunch.
When Nintendo does, Sega don't. I flipped it.
Bro, what is that?
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm not buying it. All the games should have been on one and should have different colors. That doesn't. I think it's only a Japanese only thing. So I'm not really. I don't care.
And Japanese people are probably like, "What the frick is this?"
Well, I mean, it looks more like a collector's item kind of thing.
How are you gonna play a JRPG on that little thing? Imagine Xenoblade on that.
Well, the funny thing is that they have that screen expansion that makes the screen bigger but still tiny.
If you need that, then that's a red flag.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like I don't think it's meant to be mainstream. I think it's meant to just be like a collector's item.
So it wasn't like they made one bad decision. No, Atlus is notorious for dumb ideas sometimes. But I do love their games, so I guess the deal.
I see here the Griefing Golem is pointing out that Cloud was actually on a few Kingdom Hearts games on Nintendo consoles. I have seen some footage for that, so I guess technically Cloud was involved. But, and to the same point, I wouldn't say those are significant. Joker is in Persona 5 Scramble, which is on Switch. So there is something.
It has to be a mainline game.
Say that again?
It has to be a mainline game where a person could get the game, learn about the character. That's just what I think. Obviously, I'm not...
Yeah,
people don't
cameo.
Characters
cameos is one thing, but an actual a significant character in a game is another. A mainline game, not like a spin-off.
Because there's legacy characters, and then there's newer characters, and it gets confusing at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's why there's a big hype around speculating and predictions and leaks, especially leaks. And who gets it first gets the most clout and recognition. That's why it's so big, because it's anybody could be on at that point. And
right. I feel like this is a really good transitional point to go into, I guess, the Smash part of this discussion, because we're already talking about Smash Brothers basically. So one thing I'll point out is that we got news this week that Sakurai has been trying not to talk about the games he's been playing, because when he does, people just make the assumption, oh, if he's playing this, therefore this character must be in Smash Brothers. So now he's not doing that so much because he doesn't want the speculation to kind of go overboard with every single time he talks about what games he's played, because he's a gamer, he plays different games, so he can't put every single character from every single game he plays. Like, that's just not possible. It's not realistic. It's not reasonable. But people will go into full-blown speculation every time he brings up any particular game he plays. So he's
that
like,
sucks,
nope.
but it's to be expected.
Yeah.
It's the culture, especially when they hide certain things and they bring it up and you're like, oh man, they got me. That's why people speculate. Though maybe he should get a more private account to talk about his games, and maybe go.
People will know. People will know. People will find out.
But that's just the territory. He's a Smash guy.
I kind of get what you're saying. Like, maybe he should just not worry about it. But he's from a different culture and he has a different perspective. And I mean, I'm gonna respect his. That's his viewpoint. That's fine. Like, if I was in his shoes, I'd be like, look, guys. Whatever I play is what I play, so don't think I'm necessarily hinting at it. I'm just sorry, but that's the way it is.
There's still gonna be people.
Yeah.
So I would say he could just like go on. Oh, it might be there, it might be not. This might be it, but it might be not. I'm just playing my games.
I guess the other thing is that Smash speculation is so crazy. There's so many people, and it can get very intense, and that's probably a little discomforting for a lot of people. Maybe not that many people are used to or able to deal with that amount
Smash community
of attention. Yeah, it can be very intense.
Especially when Sakurai plays third-party games. Anytime somebody figures out he's not playing a game on Nintendo, they're like, oh, it must be a Smash character. It's like, no, guys, just because he worked at Nintendo doesn't mean he doesn't play games on other consoles.
I don't even think he picks the characters most of the time.
No.
I mean, he has a say in who he picks, but like
Nintendo does, they do pick it. He would play the game for research.
Yeah, he's not the only say in the room, so
yeah, that's true.
Most people do common sense and just let him talk about his games. If they say, they'll be like, ooh, are we gonna see a thingy thing? And then that's it.
Yeah,
there's people who take it to the extreme.
Yeah. What do you make of it, Brandon?
Yeah, I think he could do that, where he could just ignore them. The problem that I see.
Hey, Brandon, can you raise your microphone a little bit?
Oh yeah, sure.
Or a lot of it.
A lot of it.
Yeah, you're.
Is that better? There we go. Better maybe.
Oh yeah, you're audible now for sure.
Cool. So, what was I saying?
I don't know, something about Smash Brothers and Sakurai not talking about games because he doesn't want people to go.
Oh yeah. What I was gonna say was, there's so many comments. I mean, when you just look at the comments underneath like anything from Nintendo when we were waiting for a Direct, it was just like, where's Direct? Where's Direct? Where's Direct? Where's Direct? Where's Direct? And it's not like you can really go through that and pick out like the few comments that aren't talking about the Direct, because you have to wade through like hundreds of just comments about it, and that's just kind of how it is.
A celebrity do it. I don't even think they read comments at this point, or bigger people.
Yeah,
they read comments.
It's a lot to read.
So I think his point is, there's just no point in saying anything at all. Because if I say something, then people will speculate. If I don't say, even if I don't care about the speculation, it's not like I'm going to be able to read comments that actually mean anything, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, like...
It doesn't benefit him anyway to do so.
As a smaller YouTuber, sometimes it's kind of hard for me to deal with comments. Like, I try to read every comment, and I think I get to most of them, but then reading is one thing, responding to each one is another. Like, it gets a little hard to do all of that, and I am still a small YouTuber. Imagine Sakurai, who, like, has millions of people like following him and trying to interact with him or speculate on what he's doing every waking moment all the time. Like, it's just like exponentially way more to deal with, you know?
Yeah, it's like, do you think PewDiePie reads his comments?
He probably reads some, but there's only so much you can read.
I think to be like a sane person, you kind of have to like
take a step back.
Yeah, or like not read it, or just read the ones that are verified or something like that.
I've heard some people hire people to read the comments and then pick out comments for them to read.
Yeah, because
I've known some people, like big streamers, can do that.
there's people who are like, oh, he's a popular person who commented, let me read his comment, but not little Billy Joe's comment, because it's bad, I guess. So, but I get to read all my comments. That's the good part of being a small YouTuber.
This is random, but like when I raised my shirt, I thought I had like paint on my shirt, but it was a white thread. All right, I'm just sorry. Sorry, I'm being random. Yeah, I mean there is something to that, like just being able to read all your comments and see it. But there's all kinds of people with all kinds of opinions, and sometimes they can be really toxic, sometimes they can be really positive. Point is though, when you're at Sakurai's level, like I can see how it can be very overwhelming, especially when you still appreciate that people love your work, you know, like if you want to see what they're saying and understand what they're saying and relate to them. But after a certain point, when you have so many people who can be so rabid for information, wanting more, like that can get, I can see how it can get draining for some people. I mean, it is. Like, we've seen it. We've seen just content creators, which is on a much smaller scale, have issues with dealing with comments. I mean, Mandy, you brought up, you've read a lot of your comments, but I mean, I know you and all of us have had negative comments before, and we're like, okay, this sucks, you know? And we're small YouTubers. Sakurai deals with millions and millions of people. Say it again?
The wannabe friend comments. Oh man.
Oh yeah, that's
I'm like,
just ignoring.
spam.
Yeah. That's just a weird thing going on right now on the YouTubes. But moving past the Sakurai aspect of things, in terms of how he's dealing with things lately.
But maybe he should just say which characters are there that he's going to pick. Maybe he should just say all the characters.
Well, I disagree, because I think there is definitely something to, us talking about, speculating about it all the time. Like, that is totally a part of Nintendo's plan. They want us to go crazy with speculation and discussion, because what does that do? It's free marketing. Like, it's constantly keeping Nintendo and Smash Bros. In discussion year-round. So they have to do it that way, because it only makes sense business-wise, and plus it gives us more to talk about, so it's fun. So I'm fine with the way it is. But I am curious, when do you guys think we will see the ARMS character reveal? So, Brandon, you and I remember we did it a few weeks ago. We saw the Pokemon DLC, and we saw they were getting like these events for the Sword and Shield stuff, and I was like, okay, you know what? I think by the end of all of this is when we're gonna get the DLC. And I was like the 18th, and we're getting on the 17th. So I was close with that, but we had more information to sort of lead us in that direction. But given that we're getting the Sword and Shield DLC that week, and as I said, I didn't think we would get it this week, because this week we have Clubhouse Games, and we're still, you know, playing Xenoblade, so I didn't think they would focus on Smash this week. When could we see the Smash stuff? If Pokemon stuff is happening on the 17th, which is after this week. Well, I mean, I guess it could happen this week we're in now. It could happen. I don't think it's going to happen next week, though, because Pokemon's coming out then.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to happen in June, so I guess that would either lead like the 24th or the 25th, that or this week. What do you guys think?
I mean, scheduling's all over the place, so...
The what?
The scheduling.
Yeah, and also right now with, you know, with the whole movement for Black Lives Matter, a lot of people are focusing on that, because that's really important. You know, it's the people are trying to create change right now. So a lot of companies have been, you know, taking a step back. Like, for example, the PS5 game reveal event, like that was pushed off because they didn't want to talk about that during this time right now where people are really focused on trying to create change. So, you know, it's possible they may hold off the Smash reveal as well. It's hard to say.
And because we haven't had a direct in like a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, man.
Well, when would we normally have gone the Nintendo Direct? Would it have been this week? Yeah, right? I think it would have been.
Yeah, it would have been.
Maybe we do get the ARMS presentation this week in place of it.
We would have done it a while ago. Because right now E3 should be going, but it's not.
I think E3 was supposed to start this week, this upcoming weekend.
It's kind of depressing, but you know,
Yeah.
it's what it is.
You know what? I can kind of see a Smash announcement this week. I can kind of see it. I'm not saying it will happen. I don't have like a lot of evidence supporting this, but I feel like it kind of makes sense for the announcement to happen this week. Have the reveal presentation. You know, the Sakurai presents where he shows off the character, talks about how the character plays. Maybe the character comes out this week, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do the Sakurai presents this week. They let next week be for Pokemon. Then at the end of the month, the character actually comes out, and that would space out like the content Nintendo has throughout this month. Like, you know, you have the Xenoblade Fallout that came out at the end of May. Then you start things off with Clubhouse games. Mandy, I know you got it. I saw your video on it with your unboxing, and then after that, you know, maybe this week we get the Smash presentation, and then we get the DLC for Pokemon next week, and then we get the actual DLC for Smash the week after. Like, I think that would be like a decent way to sort of have the month carry out to help keep like people talking about Nintendo until we get Paper Mario in July, maybe.
Right.
I'm honestly like, I don't think Smash could like hold people off or whatever, because it's revealing a character, and honestly, I'm tired of Smash. Really, like. I love Smash, yes, but they should have taken a break between the Fighters Pass, because I feel like there's always a constant Smash something, and it doesn't really leave room for like any other thing. I just feel like I'm burnt out on Smash.
I got you. I will say there's been a bit of a gap, right? Because we got Byleth in January? The presentation was at least in January. So, and I'm assuming we're going to get the Arms character at the end of June. So, like a 5-month gap during the Fighters Pass DLC, it was like a 3-month gap between characters, or 2.5 months. So, this has been a longer wait for that next character. It hasn't been like they haven't taken any sort of break.
I don't know what y'all waiting for.
What?
Like, I don't know what y'all are so excited about at this point. Like, I'm excited for a new character, yes, but...
Okay, I'll tell you why. One, the character could be fun. I play Smash.
They're all fun.
Yes.
Next.
But two, depending on who the character is, it will have massive implications for who could come next. Because if it ends up being Springman or Ribbon Girl...
Who's next? And that's the thing with Sakurai. It's always like this thing of who's next. Okay, cool character, shiny for a second, and then go on to the next one. So I'm like, okay, y'all talking about how Sakurai needs to be left alone and stuff, but then you feel all this fan culture about what's next. I'm just honestly, can't you just like the character that we have? Like, the Fighters Pass came up like too close to each other, like way too close.
Nope.
They could have panned it out for maybe.
This is my perspective.
People just get excited for one thing, play it, and then like don't pick it up again.
Nope. So this is how I am. I get really happy for what we get, and while I'm really happy with what we get, I'm also really excited for what's to come. For me, it's both, and that's just how it is.
You're the problem in the community.
I don't think so. I think it makes things fun.
That going of what's next? Sakurai, you playing this game? That's who's next.
So are you telling me that it's not okay to be excited for what's to come?
It is, but it's constantly being excited that you don't appreciate what's there.
But I also just said I'm very happy about
you need
what
Smash
is now.
Jigglypuff and then be excited for what's to come, because you're just excited, but then you don't play the game.
But I do play the game.
But not to the extent that you get so hyped about a new character. You drop
play
them
Smash
and move.
every week.
But
every week.
Like I said, put Jigglypuff in Elite Smash, and
I don't like Jigglypuff. Not Jigglypuff. Like, maybe Byleth, maybe Piranha Plant, maybe Terry. Not Jigglypuff.
You can't just
Banjo.
keep wanting the next thing, and you don't even appreciate the stuff that are there.
I 100% appreciate what's there. Cool. Right now, I'm trying to 100% a game I played 8 years ago.
Like, okay, you were so excited for Banjo. Why isn't Banjo in Elite Smash for you?
I have like 200 hours of Smash Brothers, so I definitely play the game.
Be all that with Banjo,
because
you were so excited for Banjo. I'm surprised he's not your main.
He is actually.
A lot of characters.
He's one of my mains. So I think we're going to just disagree on this one. Like, agree to disagree on this one, because I 100% play way more Smash than most people. But that's not the point. So, anyways, though, like, what do you guys think will happen with this ARMS character? Do you think it's going to be revealed at the end of the month, this week? When is it coming out?
I don't play ARMS, so I don't really know the characters. It could be string cheese for all I know.
String cheese.
Well, isn't like Min Min's a possibility, and like, isn't like she has like noodle arms.
The only characters I know is Min Min and Thick Girl.
Thick Girl, I know who you're talking about, but it's a good name.
Yeah. Thick Girl.
I'm still gonna go with. I think it's gonna be announced the 22nd or the 23rd, the Monday or the Tuesday. That's what I still think that. That's what I said 2 weeks ago, and I stand by it. And for none other reason than it just feels good. I don't know. There's no facts here. I don't have anything to go on. Too conclusive, so.
Just like have different costumes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping for multiple characters too. They did that with Hero. I don't know if they'll do it again.
But I don't like ARMS in general, so I don't really care. So it's another throwaway character, honestly. Oh, was that bad? Everyone's just smiling awkwardly.
You installed the game.
I'm not super excited for the ARMS character either, to be honest.
I am.
I think it'll be fun, but I'm like, I'm not super into ARMS.
I mean, it comes down to how the character. Say it again.
I said they should work on putting more DLC for the game than moving a character.
Yeah, I mean, for Smash Brothers, they focus on like the character because that's like what they think is most important. I would like to see more modes and stages. Like, I would like to see that, but it seems like their direction just, hey, we're gonna get you a character, we're gonna get more music, we're gonna get you a stage. And I mean, that's fine because I like enjoying each of the different characters. And I'll say that it's totally possible the ARMS character will come out, I'll play and be like, this one's not for me. Like, that's totally possible. Like, I thought Joker was gonna be cool, but once I got my hands on the character, it really wasn't for me. I did end up really liking Hero and Banjo and Terry, and I love the heck out of Byleth. So I love, and I also love Piranha Plant. So 5 to 6 DLC characters I use all the time. When I get Joker, I'm like, okay, this character's just not for me. But, you know, so I think there's a good chance I'll end up liking the ARMS character, but there is that possibility that I won't like how the character plays for whatever is my style, and I won't learn how to play with it. So there's that possibility, but given how most of the DLC characters are, I think it'll probably be fine. And I'll also say that I like the idea of an ARMS character because given what ARMS is, that they're extending their arms, it's going to be a mid to long range kind of character, and I kind of like that. Like, imagine if the character plays a little bit like, I guess, Little Mac, but they have range. That would be really interesting to see how that would play out. So
I'm mostly talking about like the game, like the ARMS game, like not Smash, just ARMS, because they just dropped it and never looked back on it.
Yeah, I think they moved on.
Like,
probably that's the Mario Kart team. They might be working on the next Mario Kart right now, or something else. So
I'm tired of playing on Moo Fields for like. I've been playing that game for years. Mario Kart 8. I would love it
since 2014.
But I'm like, that's why Smash is so weird because it gets constant DLC and treatment, and then the other games get dropped like a hot potato. And I'm just like I get salty when I see the freaking Mario Kart app get more updates than the game ever did.
Yeah.
That's understandable, it's an app, but
yeah,
it still sucks.
I think they just prioritize the games that they know are doing really well. Because ARMS did okay, but it was a new IP. It didn't do like amazing. Not like Smash.
But like Splatoon 2 they carried it for a while with updates and stuff.
Yeah, but it did really, really well.
Down. And I'm just like, why? Why?
You can't keep a game
with
DLC forever.
No, I know, but there's usually like a reason why. Like they're gonna transition to another thing. They just stop games sometimes, like out of the blue. Like I thought they were gonna go all in with ARMS. It was gonna be the new fighting game besides Smash.
How long did they support it for? They supported it at least for 6 months, right? Was it over a year?
Fighting games, you need to
I
support
think it was.
not just 6 months, because then the fan base
I mean,
dwindles.
look at Smash Ultimate, they're still supporting it. So
Because Smash is Smash, but I'm talking about like other competitive games. Because there's other competitive games that are not
well, yeah,
Smash.
I know they've been releasing DLC for Dragon Ball FighterZ for a while, as an example.
I meant like first party Nintendo,
Well, besides Smash, we got ARMS.
and they just dropped it like a hot potato.
I want to know when was the last. What was the release of the last DLC character for ARMS? Was it Dr. Coil?
I don't know. I had stopped
think
playing
it was
ARMS by that point.
clown looking girl.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it was the clown. So, Coil was playable December 22nd, 2017. When did this character come out? I'm looking it up. Really? Yeah, apparently it came out September 13th, 2017. Is that true? I'm just Googling this, so...
I don't think so.
No, I mean, it could be ARMS. That sounds like the release of when ARMS came out, right? Or I don't know. I really don't remember 2017. ARMS release.
Crazy,
ARMS
yeah.
came out June 16th, so I guess it makes sense. I mean, I'm seeing the Lollipop trailers coming from August, so September makes sense for release for Lollipop. And I guess Dr. Coil would. I guess is that the final character? I think it was. Yeah, so I mean, 6 months is when they kept. That was the last character they had for it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean,
But they don't even get like equipment, new modes, nothing.
They had some of their little smash.
At least
offs or
Splatoon
whatever.
2, they did like a whole DLC expansion.
Mhm.
They kept bringing in new weapons and things. But ARMS, they just, I guess, didn't like it.
Yeah,
But then
I
they
mean,
bring it
it
back
wasn't
to
as
Smash.
big of it was not as big of a seller. So there is that. I mean, money does have something to do with it. That is just the fact of the matter. But maybe they had some DLC and they're working on a sequel. Some people are speculating that that's what's been going on. And if they're working on a sequel, then go for that. I mean, let's look at, for example, Mario Odyssey. We never got paid DLC for Mario Odyssey, and when that came out, alongside with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, in that year, I believe. Was it Shunto Furukawa, the president, the Nintendo president at the time? He did come out and say that their plan was to release DLC for their biggest games. At the time, the two top-selling games when this statement came out was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Super Mario Odyssey. And we pretty much got a DLC for everything else in the top 10, but those two games, like paid DLC.
Mario Odyssey is a single-player kind of thing, not a competitive, ongoing thing. They don't have to hold a fan base because they don't like.
I get what you're saying. You release
control
DLC to
servers.
maintain the online community, but they
Well,
didn't
that's
do
important
it
to-
for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that is the best-selling game on Switch.
It's a Mario Kart game. The clout itself sells itself, but like for a new IP, I thought they were gonna go in like they did with Splatoon 2 or Splatoon.
They
kind of treat
didn't
it like
go
a new
as
game.
deep. I guess I understand what you're saying. But again, I mean, maybe they just didn't think it was worth it, or maybe that was their plan to just support it for that long and then move on to the next thing.
But maybe the Smash character is probably a thing to revitalize the game. So I know a lot of people started to get interested again once they announced who could be in Smash.
Could be. So let's check in with the chat real quick, and then we'll be moving on here. So let's see what we got. Terry Sever's Anatomy. I believe that 4 of the DLC files will be upgraded spirits, and I believe they will be Min, Gino, Shantae, Rayman, and the other 2 will be from series non-Smash yet. That would be a very exciting list. So if that happens, I'm all for it. Computer robots at us. Computer robots saying you have a point, Mandy. He was saying she does have a point, man. That fans don't appreciate what is there in front of them, but they keep asking for more characters. So I mean, look, I appreciate what we get. but I'm also excited about what's to come. I think you can totally do both healthfully. Are there people who are just sort of on the news cycle and only doing that? Maybe. I think I'm not saying there isn't something there, but I also think that it's totally okay to be excited about what's to come. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
The constant cycle is what's wrong with it. The cycle of, okay, we got this new, what's next? Okay. It's more like the whole argument of entitled gamers versus, like, people who say they are entitled gamers. Because I got a lot of, hate when I said that I was disappointed that there was a Nintendo Direct. Because, Corona and stuff.
So people would say that was an entitled statement. Was that what people were saying? I mean, it's totally okay to be disappointed. Can you be
You were one of them. So I'm just like, dude, do you not just see it?
Well, I was one of what?
The people who you didn't say that to me, but you were saying how people who are expecting a Nintendo Direct are just entitled and blah blah blah.
I never said that.
I'm like,
that is not true.
Well, you kind of like.
I never said
that. Toward that.
Never said that. That is not true.
Okay, well I can't quote you on that.
And you won't find proof of it because I never said that.
I'll take your word. I'll take your word on that.
What I do think though, and I'll say what I probably said something along the lines of, I'll say that considering the circumstances is understandable. Is it disappointing? Yeah, I want a Nintendo Direct, of course, but I get it, and I expected this. I was talking, before there was ever news, I was saying, hey, look, guys, the E3 Direct may not happen around the same time. The E3 event's not happening, so Nintendo's not necessarily going to be held to having their event during that time either. So that's what I was talking about. So maybe when the news broke out, I said something along the lines of, this is not a surprise, something like that. But I wasn't saying you shouldn't be disappointed. If it's something you wanted, sure. But
all right, then my bad for assuming you said that.
It's fine.
I take the blame for that. It's just that I got a lot of hate because people are calling me entitled and stuff because of the Direct, and I'm just like, well, you guys are now always itching for something. I just don't understand people sometimes. But that's just a whole different issue.
I mean, the internet can be toxic and trollsy. So, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But moving on in the chat here, Terry Sievert's Anatomy, Twintel. Yo, if Twintel was in, I'd be totally excited for that character. My theory is that they're going to go for multiple characters, and that could totally be wrong. But if they went for multiple characters, as to my theory, it'd be really hard to match Twintel because her arms come from her head, while all the other characters are, like from the shoulders. So if you're going to have one character that has, like, alternate costumes that act as different characters, kind of like Hero, they need to have a similar shape or else the hitboxes won't work out quite right. So for that reason, I don't expect Twintel, but if the character is just Twintel and not any other character, then yeah, it would work. And either way, I'd be excited for it because Twintel is one of the more interesting designs from ARMS, I think. Alexander Christopher added me. I think it's going to be next week. Don't denying this one as possible. I also think it's going to be Sakurai present format because budget better showcase. By the way, Yuden for Smash. Yuden from Dragalia Lost. That, of all the Nintendo mobile games, I'll give you that is the most interesting one for me. I didn't play it. I don't play any Nintendo mobile games that much, but I did play that one for a few hours, and I really enjoyed the music and the art design. So if there was any Nintendo, you know the Dragalia Lost?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there was any Nintendo mobile game that got Smash representation, the only one that I think would make sense would be from Dragalia Lost.
No mobile game should get representation.
I'm not. But
mobile games are on their own different.
And I actually agree with you, but what I'm saying is,
I would
if there's going to be any, the only one that makes sense to me is from Dragalia Lost. Do I think it will happen? No, I'm not gonna bet on, but I think it's at least possible.
No, you gotta be on the damn console. Or on a console. Not on a freaking mobile device. I have my stance with mobile games. I gotcha. Like, they take advantage of stuff. And they make the whole gaming scene look weird on the mobiles. So, I don't like them. Yeah, so yeah.
I prefer console games.
No representation. Oh no.
I prefer console games. I'll give you that. Terry Sivertson. They already said only one character will join because they said characters, not characters. Well, it's one fighter either way.
I'm a bigot. Someone called me a bigot.
Don't. That's
like that's not even have to do with this conversation.
Moving on. Let's see here.
Mobile games too.
Sav 64. I would love to see Wart from Super Mario Bros. 2 come to Smash.
Slot machines are games too.
That would be interesting.
Not just gambling machines.
Terry Sivertson is saying the sales for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe have been slowing down.
Yeah, I mean it's just how it happens. It's not gonna keep going at the same pace forever.
Yeah.
Still selling really well. So.
Ronnie Fazio. Hey man, I really love Pokken. I wish that it would get a sequel. Yeah, it would be nice to see a Pokken game, a new one with more characters. I really did enjoy that fighting game. And actually, that's another Nintendo fighting game we didn't get too much DLC for. We got Blastoise and Aegislash, but it was also like, you know, an enhanced port from Wii U.
I gave it away.
I actually never even got the Switch version. I just had the one on Wii U, so I never had to play as Blastoise or Aegislash.
You could still get DLC on the Wii U one.
I don't think was there DLC.
You got the Blastoise.
I don't think the DLC was ever available on the Wii U one. Because if there was, I might have gone for it. I think it was just for the Switch version.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here. Terry Sivertson, I believe the Mario Kart team started working on Mario Kart 9 as soon as the last date for the ARMS came out. Could be. Sav64, how do you feel about Earthworm Jim in Smash? I never played Earthworm Jim. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
If it were to happen...
Very little knowledge on the
I'll tell you this, if there is... I don't even know if there's Earthworm Jim available on the Switch eShop, but if, like, they had the game come out and Earthworm Jim was announced as a Smash character, and there was an available version of the game of Earthworm Jim on the Switch eShop, I might give it a try. So, there's that. The GOAT. A 4-in-1 with Springman, Ribbon Girl, Min-Man, and Ninjara seems likely, and I think it will happen. That's what I'm hoping for. That's my theory, but we'll see what they actually decide to do.
I would like Min-Man and Ninjara. Those are the two that I want the most. But I'm sure, I'm 99% certain two of them are going to be Spring Boy and Ribbon Girl, because they're like the poster children for the game.
I think it's going to be a girl, since we haven't had a girl character since... Well, Byleth is, I guess, a girl, but it possibly could be a female fighter.
Could be.
One of the other characters.
Yeah. So.
Fake girl, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it might be 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yeah, like...
And then alternate costumes for each of them.
Right, so
like
you would have Ribbon Girl and Min-Man as the females, and then Springman
Mm-hmm.
as Ninjara as the males. I think that kind of makes sense. But you know, we'll see. I mean, if they do decide to go for one character, a lot of people have been speculating that it would be Min-Min because she was the winner of like some sort of like
I'd like that
final ARMS. Like it was basically like the Splatfest equivalent for ARMS, and the Min-Min was the winner of that. So
Min-Min for the win-win. That's what everybody
for the
would
win-win.
say.
That'd be fun. So and she's a female, so that would be a female rep. So if it is just one character, Min-Min, I could kind of see that. I put her on the thumbnail for a reason. So you know. I think there's something to that. But let's move on. I really want to get to the Zelda rumors, but I'm going to save that as like the final exciting discussion point. And I want to talk a little bit about the Pokemon DLC. So that trailer, I thought was pretty good. I feel like we didn't really need it, but I guess it was cool to get that on top of a little bit more information about what's to come in later, like I'm assuming like November, December with the second half of the DLC, and also get a release date, which is the 17th, which I'm totally okay with. I think that's a good date for it. That's what I expected. And I do like what I'm seeing from the game so far. It does look like they're improving on the visuals a little bit. I noticed the textures are not as blurry for the trees. And like the world seems to have a little bit more going on with the environment, so I hope they continue to sort of expand upon that. Like I am thinking that as we move forward with different Pokemon games, that they're going to focus more on the wild area aspect, and hopefully we'll have fully decked out towns in the wild area, and like that's just the entire game.
That'd be great.
That's what I'm kind of hoping for. It looks like they're building towards that because the entire DLC is wild area, so it looks like they're going in that direction. I like what we saw from some of the Pokemon. Like we saw that fight scene with the Galarian birds. I think it's weird that they kept the flying typing, but I expected them to keep their, Zap dose for electric, Articuno. I thought they would keep the ice for that, and Moltres, like Molten, Lava, Fire. I thought they would keep those. They didn't. They kept the flying instead. But they did go for Psychic, Dark, and Fighting, which is what I thought they'd do. I had a video predicting that, and I got that part right. I just got the other part wrong. So half right, half wrong on that. But still, I think it's a nice little triangle there. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I like Slowpoke. I like how
I like his redesign. It's cool.
Yeah.
Nobody's comparing him to Mega Man.
Yeah, he is like Mega Man, or like Samus.
I always liked Slowpoke, but this design looks so like. I like it. I like redesigns.
Have you guys read the description for Slowpoke yet? If you go to Pokemon.com, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, because of this version of Slowpoke has like different like. I'll just I'm gonna go to the website and literally read you the description because I feel like I'm gonna butcher the description.
I mean, they could like ninja themselves on trains, so
yeah, they're talented little guys.
That's how I got my Slowpoke.
Yeah, let me see. I want to read it for you guys because I just thought it was really funny. Let's see here. Come on, where's my Slowpoke? Slowbro, I should say, actually. So. I'll read the description for us. Putting it on the cast here. It gained the poison type from the shock of Shelder's bite. A Shelder bite set off a chemical reaction with the spices inside Galarian Slowpoke's body, causing Galarian Slowbro to gain the poison type. The Shelder sometimes unconsciously bites down harder on Slowbro's arm, causing an itch that drives Slowbro to start swinging its arm around indiscriminately and then smashing its surroundings. This makes Galarian Slowbro a highly dangerous Pokemon. Like, that's really the part I wanted to read, because I just thought it was funny that basically this thing eats at his arm and it makes him go crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny, because Slowbro's usually, like, like a dozed-out Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm also curious about is that it has this ability Quick Draw. They haven't explained what that will mean for the game. That's implying more speed. But I don't know, because Slowbro is, I don't know if you can tell, a slow Pokemon. So I don't know how Quick Draw will impact that. But I'm curious what that ability is going to end up actually doing for him. But either way, I love the design. And I hope there's a few more surprises like that in the DLC that they haven't revealed to us yet. No, you guys got no thoughts on it? Slowbro is...
I mean, I like Slowbro. It's kind of sad that his arm's getting eaten, but
yeah, it bothers me, but it's cute at the same time. So it's hard to. It's like a semi-parasitic relation. Like, I guess it makes him stronger. It forces more out of him. But yeah, it's weird.
It's a very interesting relationship that they have.
Yeah, it is. I mean, maybe it's mutual because Slowbro becomes more active because of it, and thus is more of a presence in the wild and can handle itself better. But at the same time, like his arm probably hurts, so hard to say.
Probably wants to sleep. It's like when you're really, really tired, just being kept up. God, that would suck. That's your whole life. Mm-hmm. No wonder it's so mad.
Yeah. I just realized its typing is poison and psychic, so it'll quad resist fighting, which I think is pretty neat. Like it will resist fighting quite a bit, so it's gonna be a good switch-in for that. And I guess the psychic, since psychic resists psychic, poison will not be hurt by it. It'll be psychic attacks neutral, so that's pretty cool. I guess it'll still get hit hard with dark. I don't know. It seems like a pretty good typing. I'm very interested to see how this Pokemon's gonna be in the game. So we'll see. Yeah. Is there anything else you sort of expect from this DLC, guys?
I'm not sure when I'm gonna get it, but it seems cool. It just sucks you have to have the other version to play the other DLC.
What do you
Mhm.
mean?
Like if you have Sword, correct me if I'm wrong, you could only play the Sword one, or the Shield, you can only play the Shield one. Are they the
Um,
same thing, or are they just like different Pokemon, like the game?
it's the same, save for some of the character. Like the sword version, you have the girl that you sort of battle with, and the shield version, you have the dude. But other than that, it's pretty much the same as far as I know. It's basically
Okay.
kind of like how Sword and Shield are, where there's a couple exclusive gym leader characters and there's a couple exclusive Pokemon. Besides that, it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it's kind of status quo. Now, you can make the argument that, hey, maybe they shouldn't do that, but that's what they've been doing for years. So, yeah, I kind of get it. I mean, you can... Is there a bundle on it? I think you just pay for it twice. I'm not sure. I haven't checked.
I think there's bundle, but it's $120, so it's the same price as buying both of them.
Oh, for Sword and I was talking about the DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a discount with that.
I don't know.
Yeah, Grief and Golem has an interesting question. Do you think we'll get more Galarian forms? They haven't shown off yet. I'm not sure, man, because, like, I want to say yes, but I also don't know. Because we know we're getting 100 returning Pokemon in each region. So we're getting 100 returning Pokemon in Isle of Armor and 100 returning Pokemon in Crown Tundra, but there's also some new legendaries in each one, and of course we have Galarian Slowpoke, and we know that there's another, I'm assuming Galarian Slowking, the alternative evolution for Slowbro, we'll see in Crown Tundra, but will there be other Galarian forms? It's a tough call, but I'll say that with Sword and Shield, before it came out, like the weeks beforehand, we only knew about maybe like a dozen or so new Pokemon, and people were thinking that there weren't that many other new Pokemon in the game, but it was actually pretty much the same amount of new Pokemon as with every new generation. They just didn't reveal them this time. They didn't actually spoil it until the data mines came out. So the DLC hasn't been data mined yet entirely because we don't have access to it. They did data mine Pokemon Home, and they did find a whole bunch of new moves. So that does have an implication that there is a fair bit of new content there if they're adding a whole bunch of new moves to the game. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I think there's definitely going to be some surprises when we get the DLC. I'm just not sure if those surprises will include another few extra Galar forms. I hope so, but I'm not like confident. Yeah.
You have a question from Beverly, or she wants to ask you something in chat.
Will we get to a Q&A question? I mean, it's constantly ongoing. Or are you talking about Earl? I see it higher up. I see that. Beverly, I hope we can get Min Min as the arms rep, Fighter 7, Ryu Hayabusa, and then Eat 8 for Geno. Yeah, those are definitely characters people are talking about. So I mean, I think they're totally in the cards, for sure. Yeah, I'm just happy that the DLC hasn't been data mined yet. I hope when I get it on the 17th, I can be surprised. That would be nice. I don't like it when the game just gets spoiled every time. That kind of happens for every time a new Pokemon game comes out.
So when every new game comes out.
Yeah, but the advantage of it being DLC is that maybe no one will have that content until the day it happens, which is what I'm hoping for, but we won't know. I don't know. Fingers crossed nothing happens where everything's spoiled, because I want to be surprised. But let's move on, unless there's anything else you want to say in relation to this Pokemon DLC. You guys got nothing? That's okay.
Gives me something to stream.
Zelda. Have you guys heard about the most recent Zelda rumors?
I don't really keep up the rumors, so you gotta explain it to me.
So they weren't talked on the most popular news channels, but some of the bigger Zelda channels at least picked it up. And again, I wouldn't classify this as super likely, but it was coming from supposedly people who have a track record of getting things right. So there's a few different things from a few different places, so I'll sort of just tell them all to you here. So One of them is that there's going to be a different type of guardian in Breath of the Wild 2. Basically, you know how the guardians were made from Sheikah technology, right? And the Sheikah were good people, but their technology was controlled by Calamity Ganon. Well, in Breath of the Wild 2, according to this rumor, there's going to be another type of guardian or something similar to a guardian, except instead of it being made by Sheikah technology, it's going to be made by their evil counterparts, the Yiga. So it'll be like an evil, crueler, even scarier version of the Guardian that's powered by Yiga technology as opposed to Sheikah technology. So that would be really interesting to see.
It makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense, but I'm also hesitant because at the same time, the Yiga that we saw in Breath of the Wild didn't look that advanced compared to the Sheikah.
I mean, they mostly look like a gang.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really take them seriously.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe there's more to it. Maybe it's like a Yiga clan that's not the Yiga clan that we knew in the game.
I think that could be the case, because if you look at the Sheikah that we know that are alive in the Breath of the Wild, they're also not that advanced either, but the ancient Sheikah were. So maybe there's also ancient Yiga that have ancient technology comparable to the Sheikah.
It's true. Or what is the people that were before the Sheikah? You see them in like the Zonai. What if they found ancient Zonai technology or something? They could use that to build it.
I was thinking maybe the Twilight Realm, but
the Twilight Realm.
They already used that.
Because it doesn't seem like there's any Sheikah technology in this game from the trailer. So it might be all about that Zonai technology.
Ooh.
I see.
Get more apps.
Vooper is bringing up an interesting point here. She's saying it's worth noting that the lore does say the Sheikah abandoned their tech after the Yiga already split off. It would be, it'll be interesting to see if there was any sort of ancient technology from the Yiga. It would be cool for sure. It would absolutely be cool. Will it happen? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it is just a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt.
I definitely do think we need some sort of replacement for the Guardian, some sort of giant beast to be afraid of that could just destroy you at any moment. Because obviously, we can't say for certain, but it doesn't seem like the Guardians are in this game. So we need something else.
Right, because if we look at the end cutscene in the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, we see Hyrule. There are no Sheikah towers, there are no shrines, they've all disappeared. So I'm assuming it's all receded underground since the Calamity Ganon threat is gone. And they sort of did their job. So I think, there's got to be something, there's got to be a replacement for it. So, yeah.
There's something has to explain what the hand does.
Yeah.
Right.
What's hand movement? Right. What is the hand power that Link seems to have?
I think that's going to be a replacement for the Sheikah Slate.
And who was that? Okay, we all probably know it's Ganon, Dwarf.
Yeah.
The in there. But what's going to happen to him?
He's
like, was that just like letting it go since we did the whole thing in Breath of the Wild, so they could finally let that thing go? Because they were disappearing? Because everything else was disappearing? They're like, okay, peace, my job is done. Bye.
I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what transpires at the beginning of Breath of the Wild 2. Like, maybe they'll explain what happened to Sheikah technology, but there is no tablet either. There's no Sheikah Slate. All of the Sheikah technology is just missing for some reason, so I guess they have to explain that.
Gotta go back to boomerangs, people.
So yeah, but I saw another interesting point by Vooper. And we do see that in the Maz Koshia using some of the fighting techniques that the Yiga use, even though the modern day Sheikah don't. That is interesting, because when you fight the monk in the Breath of the Wild DLC, some of the techniques do resemble the Yiga technique. So I think there is some sort of connection there. And I'll also say, since we're on the point of the Yiga, we know that the leader of the Yiga fell down a giant hole, and he claims that we will see him again. So a giant hole going deep down. We don't see the bottom, and we know that Breath of the Wild 2 has a big emphasis on the underside of Hyrule. So the Yiga, who worship the Demon King, Ganondorf, there is something to him underground, the depths of Hyrule. I think there's a connection here.
anything to play with that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he came off as comical. He came off as comical to me. So I don't really like take him for one who would do this elaborate plan for a whole sequel.
Well, I don't think I'm not
They're
saying
going
that
the whole-
he is
'cause
the
like,
sole reason that everything is going awry, but I am saying that there could be a connection between the Yiga and the subterranean part of Hyrule, like the underground part of Hyrule. I think there could be something to that idea, even though him himself may not be that serious of a character.
I would hate to be like underground all the time, playing. I mean, just playing wise, but story wise, I think the releasing of that hand did something, and maybe it was just gonna go naturally. Like, okay, we're done. Ooh, peace. We gotta go to sleep. But then something happened between then and Zelda something, and I don't know if it was Yiga, maybe it was Shadow People, maybe it's the Ganondorf, which I don't want to see him as the next villain again.
He's totally 100% gonna be the next villain game. That's like hardcore
I
facts.
feel like maybe someone Zant like, or
Yeah.
what's his face from Skyward Sword, the creepy guy.
Demise.
The other
Girahim. Yeah, I mean, it'd be neat to see them, but that was 100% Ganondorf in the trailer. So
He just a corpse. I mean, I don't see his body like coming back to life after
it did.
that.
It was moving.
Yeah, but I mean, like to full force. I mean, Link could just easily, like, shut up.
Maybe he has the Master Sword, so there could be an element to that. Like maybe he doesn't the Ganondorf doesn't want to fight Link in the beginning. Maybe that explains the earthquakes and things like that to like sort of shake him up, and he escapes in the castle, and the castle rises to the sky and it becomes like Ganondorf's castle or something. But
he won't have that much power because we just beat him.
No. Let me explain. So Ganondorf has been underground for thousands of years, and he's been trapped, and his anger has become this energy, the malice, and that malice alone has been devastating Hyrule for centuries. Just the malice, these little wisps that have been seeping out very slowly, gathering up, that's what's been devastating Hyrule. So imagine how much stronger the actual source could be. So my perspective is that Ganondorf will be way stronger and scarier than Calamity Ganon.
I think there's a way that they make it, but he's just a corpse there. I mean, over time, probably he could gather enough energy to do his thing, but sorry about the noise outside. But I don't think, like, his eyes glowed red. I think he just woke up. It's like probably having a like, you know, when you just wake up and
he just needs some eardrops, some eye drops. Yeah, and then he'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they'll all go off.
I really do hope that he doesn't stay as a corpse, and over time he turns back into.
What if it's basically like the Mummy
form?
You guys ever seen the Mummy?
And I have not.
So in the Mummy, which is a movie, basically this evil king comes back to life as a mummy, kind of like Ganondorf in the trailer, but throughout the movie he's working to restore himself, and he's like a mummy skeleton demon thing, and eventually by the end he looks like a completely normal, healthy looking Egyptian king, a mean one. And then he kind of reverts, if I remember correctly. The point is, like, they could do something like that where Ganondorf has his own goal to sort of restore himself. Maybe there could be something at play there. I kind of like the idea of him being like this evil mummy monster, this dark, evil demon mummy monster thing. But hey, if they restore him to some capacity, I could see that as well. He obviously, has been moving around for quite some time. Like, he is mummified. So there's obviously been, like, the muscles aren't there, all of that stuff. He's not like this. His Ganondorf is huge, Like, if you look at all the different games, Ganondorf is a big, muscular wizard monster. This Ganondorf is this evil demon with a lot of evil magical power, but he's mummified. Everything's been atrophied and all of that. So definitely from a physical standpoint, he's not as intimidating. But from a magical, evil, magic power way, he is. So we'll have to wait and see how that sort of turns out.
The hand was probably like a guardian. They're like releasing him. I wonder that's why they got his hand to like replace the seal, but I'm like would be bad. We don't want the protagonist just being the seal, but maybe it does some other stuff. And it probably will take time for Ganondorf to get like good looking. So
yeah, Link
could just off him right there. But obviously that can't be the case because we have to have a game. So
yeah. I'm seeing a correction here in relation to the Mummy. So Saturn 2's added me. Hemotep wasn't a king. That was why he was killed for sleeping with a pharaoh's wife. Okay, so I misremembered, but the point is, you have this dude with magical powers who was a mummy and then spent the entire movie like restoring himself. So there could be something there. Maybe that could be the case. Yeah, but so let's move on to, there's more rumors. It's not just that one. So there's this other rumor that there's going to be like another mode in the game, kind of like an easy mode that sort of mitigates the durability issue in the game, so weapons won't break as easily. Because some people didn't like that very much, so they will have that mode for some people, so the game's a little easier, and then their weapons are more durable, so they don't have to worry too much about them breaking all the time.
That's cool. I mean, that wasn't like a priority to me, but I mean, I don't want to go easy mode just for the weapons, but just
probably just play on the normal mode.
It was like annoying, but I don't want to go easy mode for that. So
I actually really like the weapon breaking system. So
I did.
I think it can be adjusted a little bit. Like maybe you can get some weapons that last a little bit. I mean, there are already weapons that had a lasting durability, but maybe like you could repair some of your weapons or craft.
I'd like them that have blacksmith.
Yeah.
That you could go and upgrade your weapons.
I want some crafting.
Maybe give them different elemental atrophies and.
The Master Sword takes forever to charge. I'm like, bruh, it takes like a day for it to charge.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing Grief and Golem. He added me saying, I hate that idea. I'm sorry, I don't like the idea of an easy mode to where the weapon durability is off. That takes away some of the fun. And I mean, I'm with you because I wouldn't want to play that mode. It's just something that could maybe make it accessible for others. I also would say that I think Breath of the Wild did a pretty good job of like having a difficulty where depending on how you play the game, it can make it harder or easier. So I was okay with it, but then again, I'm more of an experienced gamer. There are some people who don't play games as much, where the game maybe that alone was still too challenging for them. So if they have an easy mode, I'm not gonna complain. Like, don't have it as a default, of course. Make it clear that this is like, hey, this is the pish posh mode. But like it's something separate. Kind of like, for example, like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like they have a mode where it's like, hey, look, if you just want to experience the story and not really battle that much, there you go. But it's clear that that is not the traditional way to play the game.
Like add more slots for weapons, and like that could fix half of the problem. Because I remember finding not enough Korok seeds and not having enough slots, so breaking a weapon was even more annoying because I didn't really have much in my inventory. So I just think making the slots more accessible without hunting those Korok seeds would have been nicer, because they cost a lot. From that Maraca guy, at first you're like, okay, one here, and then he like doubles it and then triples it, and you're like, you need freaking 20 for another one slot. And I'm just like, damn, that's just the weapons, not even the shields, the bows. So I hope Maraca guy finds a new thing, because I ain't gonna. I don't wanna.
Yeah, I'll say that I do like how with the current setup it can be like there's like this flow that you can establish where you have a weapon, you're hitting it, it gets to that point where it's about to break, you throw it at an enemy's head so it's like a critical hit, it does more damage, then you pick up their weapon they drop and you use that, and it sort of like has you relying more on what you see around you to continually pick those things up and use them, and just use the environment to your advantage. I like the idea of that. It would be nice if they sort of continue to build upon that. Like, I do want them to expand upon the movesets with the weapons you already have, but also work on what they've already established in terms of using the environment to do battle. Like, build upon that idea, build upon the physics system, give you more ways to interact with the environment and do more crazy stuff. Like, I like that idea, and I think the weapon durability system does work towards that, but I also agree, Brandon, like having like a blacksmith to do crafting or having more rechargeable weapons would be nice.
You could be your own craft, like blacksmith. Like you could learn how to kind of
maybe you can build it yourself. That'd be cool. Yeah.
You can't just always go to the blacksmith guy, pay him, whatever. Maybe if you got like the tools and you just need something to put on fire, hammer.
It'd be nice to be able to craft some supplies on the go too. Like arrows. Being able to craft arrows of anywhere you are.
Oh my god, yeah.
Patch up weapons and something.
Yeah, and it'd be like the cooking, but with other stuff other than the cooking.
Yeah.
So it'll make it more like a gather resources and see what you could do with them.
Right. They already kind of experimented that with the cooking, so expand on that with the weapons and stuff too.
I want to speak on a point that I see D.E. Fox brought up, so I'll just read what he said. In Breath of the Wild, I became a god that could kill anything, no problem. So, I feel similar, because after a certain point, like, the game kind of becomes a little too easy, because you gain all these powerful weapons and abilities, and you can destroy almost anything, yet all have all this life and stamina. In the beginning, though, the world feels so scary. You see a Lionel, you see a Guardian, and you're like, oh snap, I need to run, because this thing's going to destroy me. But after a certain point, you get so strong you can wipe them. And yeah, that's a satisfying feeling, but it would be nice if they could still capture all of that and have it keep going, because once you get to that point where you're so strong, you no longer have that fear. And and then thus you also don't longer get that satisfaction of overcoming that fear. It'd be great if they could find a way to have it kind of be like a roller coaster, where at first the world is terrifying and powerful, and you have to run away and find ways to sort of scavenge and survive, be a survivor, kind of like how it was in the beginning of Breath of the Wild. But you build yourself up and you become this powerful beast that destroys everything, and you have a sense of satisfaction. But then something they do in the game leads to you feeling exposed and terrified of more powerful enemies again, scavenging and trying to survive, but you build yourself up even more and you get stronger, and you have the satisfaction of destroying whatever it is that was scaring you at that stage. And they sort of do this in phases. Like, I would like that to happen more in Breath of the Wild too.
You could try the Master Sword trial.
I did it.
That's a trial.
Oh yeah, I mean they did some of those things, and it was challenging. But I really, I want something that's kind of organic to the main campaign. And they have introduced other enemies that are even stronger that what you previously had to overcome. Say it again?
I thought the growth was good, because I don't know how you played, but I didn't really go for every shrine or everything like that. And I just thought I was OP towards the end, but I could still find a challenge. I died so many times on my other playthroughs. And you would think, because I beat Ganon and stuff, but I mean, there's still things I don't really know.
There was a challenge in finding all the shrines, because I found all the shrines and all of that stuff. But after a certain point, I just got powerful enough where I was like, yep, that's it. I'm stronger than everything. It's really just finding stuff now.
Yeah, the beginning was really fun. You had to be super careful and sneak around enemies and really think about how you played. Whereas towards the end, you have so much good stuff. It's just just run in, stab everybody, sword breaks, oh, whatever, I have 3 of these anyways, just stab the next guy. I think it's just a case of, there's two main things. I think the problem is, first off, they give you really good weapons way too easily, all the time, so you're always stock loaded with really good weapons.
Where the heck were you going?
I have 17 of the same really good swords all the time. So they give you way too many weapons, And they
You
don't
guys-
introduce new enemies enough. There's not enough enemy
Yeah.
variety, so
I'll
They don't
also
really
say that master
increase
mode
the
doesn't
enemies
really
or
fix
make them
it
harder.
for me. Because it just feels like you have enemies that have the same. They have the same AI. All they do is they just take way more hits. So you just kind of have to spend your time using
yeah.
the same repeated moves to take out an enemy, and it feels a little unnatural. I would like where a master mode would not be so much about having enemies that just take way more damage, but have maybe smarter, AI where they dodge more, or they have more moves. But also to combat that, you learn better moves as well, and they make the combat system even deeper with more to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's just there's always gonna come a point where you're OP, because that's just how a game naturally is.
Yeah, and I'll say that as far as Zelda games go, Breath of the Wild is the most challenging Zelda game yet. Like, they did a great job with Breath of the Wild. For years, my biggest issue with Zelda, even though Zelda's my favorite franchise, was the games were too easy. Like, Wind Waker never died. I didn't know there was a game over screen. I knew, I just never saw it. And then in Twilight Princess, I was like, you know what? Let's just beat this game with just 3 hearts. Like, because I could. And it was a little disappointing because the bosses were so giant and epic and cool, but when I just kind of, killed them, I was like, oh, well, that was disappointing. It looked amazing and hard, but it was a cakewalk. So that kind of...
You probably want to play, Dark Souls, maybe?
And I do, and I like that series.
Oh, that's probably why. I think Breath of the Wild was a good difficulty. It depends, what route you take. Brandon was saying how he had so much good weapons. I'm like, where the heck did you go?
Everywhere.
Completely the opposite way, because I had a lot of bad weapons at first, and it took me a while to get my footing and all that stuff. So just pacing it would be good, but and maybe an after game, after you beat Ganon. You're not just transported to the save point before you beat Ganon. There's actually maybe something, Game Plus or something like that. Like Master Mode, you have to start a new file, and I don't like that. I don't want to let go of my old file.
I like the idea of
makes
starting the game again. But I see what you mean. It would be nice if you could just change it. But Master Mode does throw in more chests into the map and things like that.
I don't want to do the game all over again.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want
For
to
me,
sacrifice that file for Master Mode.
I don't really want the difficulty to be changed in Breath of the Wild. I just want it to last longer throughout the whole game. Because the way it feels in the beginning, is the best part of the whole game.
My
as far
biggest
as, actual challenge.
My biggest critique with Breath of the Wild is just the final boss. It's 2 phases. The first phase is great, but the second phase was anticlimactic. I needed that second phase to be a climactic challenge. That's, for me, what I want most of the game. So that's why I feel like Wind Waker was amazing. The final boss Ocarina of Time was amazing. Twilight Princess, the design was there. It's just the difficulty for the entire game wasn't. So the final boss in Twilight Princess was no different. But had it been challenging, it would have been perfect. Well, there's no such thing as perfection, but as close as to perfect as I can expect. And I think Breath of the Wild was, overall, was really close.
I don't really think final boss fights should be very difficult, because if you got to that point where you're the final boss, it shouldn't be difficult to beat it. Because I've run into games where I beat the game and I'm at the final boss, and the final boss is so stupidly hard that it's frustrating, because you're at the end. You want to wrap up the game, but you can't, because the boss is it's cheating the game or something. And I like where the boss feels like all the stuff you learned, you use, and it should be easy. Not you need this ultra challenging thing, because I'll get frustrated.
How did you feel about the final boss in Breath of the Wild?
I thought it was good. He was not too hard. He wasn't game breaking. I just felt like from the position I was, I could beat him confidently without
Which part?
teasing it or feeling
So
I
my
just
thing is that
really-
I like your thinking that a boss sort of forces you to use all the things you learn throughout the game. I'm all for that. Like, I like that idea. And I agree that having a boss that's so hard that you can't even, like, beat the game, you're right. Like, you should... not that, but I do think there should be some challenge. I don't think it should be a cakewalk either. And I think that the second to last boss, because, like I said, Calamity Ganon comes in 2 phases. That first phase, I think, is ideal. But that second phase, it didn't require you to do that much. You ran around your horse and you shot a target. And that was it. And it didn't move. It was so easy to dodge. It was just a giant pig sitting there. So I didn't like that.
That's what he is, a giant pig sitting there.
Imagine if it was a giant pig that moved.
Well, he's a giant pig.
He could fly. Like, why was he flying?
It looked big at first, but once you get to the second phase and he's like starting to get tired, he's a giant pig just sitting there.
I'll also say I like that they had Lionels. Lionels were quite a challenge. I think one thing they can do is that we're not going to agree on the final part. I think they needed to be harder, but I do agree that like it shouldn't be that much harder. But
Lionels, you can actually one hit it with the ancient arrow, and they just disappear.
Yeah, I don't use ancient arrows because of that, and it's too easy. But you also don't get the rewards, so there is a drawback.
I don't die. That's how I got through that phase of the castle. I was like, oh my god, a Lionel.
Yeah, when I first did it, I did use ancient arrows as well, but not getting the rewards was bothersome for me. So eventually I was like, no, I'm gonna get these guys.
I was like, okay, it's the strongest arrow. Boom, and he disappeared. I was like, oh my god.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I think what they could do though is that, you know, in some games they have like a secret final boss. Like there's a final boss, but if you go exploring afterwards, there's like a post game, there's another secret final boss. That's maybe where you could have like that super hard boss that maybe not everyone needs to play. Like if you did that, I'd be okay with. Or maybe there's like a master mode where the final boss is more punishing for those who like that extreme challenge, like me. And then not torture for those who just want to sort of enjoy the game normally.
My perfect difficulty is when I play through the game and I don't necessarily die, but I get like right to the edge where I feel like I'm gonna die, but I win. You know, it's like that feeling of I have to use every single last thing in my arsenal to win. I don't lose because that's frustrating, but I have to use every single one of my abilities and really think hard in order to win.
I don't agree. By winning by this means that either you got lucky or you don't know how to play the game right, because it should be seamless. It should be like, it shouldn't be like you're getting in by like the skin of your nails. It should be like, okay.
But that's the perfect feeling though, when you just barely win. That is what's best.
That's what I consider to be the most fun. That's like the perfect.
Because then you feel it was like this epic battle that came down right to the very end. It feels like the perfect story. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
It should feel like you actually did it, not just got lucky. That's
it's not luck. It's just more like
the Lionel was there. I shot it.
You have just enough skill.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Yeah.
It's just being just that much. Just a little bit better.
Yeah. I like it when it's challenging and you just barely do it, because it feels super. It's just exhilarating.
It's the same thing in like sports and stuff. You don't want to sometimes it's fun to watch your team trample somebody, but the most exciting ones are the ones where it's neck and neck.
The buzzer shots.
Yeah, the Hail Mary pass at the end that they actually catch in the end zone, you win.
When you don't believe they're gonna win, but they find a way to pull it out, they squeeze that out. Like that is so cool.
That, that aspect, but I just don't understand like barely making it, because it should be more like just doing it. I get that it should be like intense, maybe. And you're stressed out, your controller's sweating, you're in it, but I don't want to be like, oh, pray to God that they die first before I die, because
maybe not, not quite that close, but you win with skill, but you get close to dying.
Yeah, you want to have that threat, and when you beat it, you're like, man, I beat that. That was tough, and I did it. That's
I love that feeling.
You get that feeling, but you don't get the feeling of, damn it, I died 5 times in a row to get there. You know?
I like to outsmart more than like just
with power, just overpower. Yeah, I mean,
right.
either way,
it's
there's different strategies for sure.
Especially with the boss you've been working at, it feels like yes.
Yeah, and I'll say that with Xenoblade, there's a lot of like high level monsters there. So like even when you beat the game, there are other enemies you can go and fight to sort of challenge yourself and push your knowledge of the battle system. So I do like that, but I love that they had the Lionels in Breath of the Wild. I thought that was a great thing to have, and I want them to have more things like that. Like even if the final boss isn't like the most challenging boss in the game, and actually I agree with it that maybe it shouldn't be the most challenging boss in the game, but I do think it should be challenging and it should have a nice climactic finish. It would be really cool if they had more things along the lines of the Lionels. Not just the Lionels in Breath of the Wild 2, where you can go exploring and they reward you for finding things that are, things that not everyone's going to find. Exploring the deep, dark places of Hyrule, finding something really cool and powerful and beating it, and then having some sort of cool reward for it, be it like some sort of really interesting cutscene where you learn more about the lore of Hyrule, or a powerful weapon, or both. That would be really interesting to me, and I think that would make the game even better.
Yeah. It'd be cool if, like, Xenoblade, they had those, the special monsters that once you kill them, they're just dead. Like, super, super hard bosses, but...
Oh, whoa. There are some hard bosses in that game. You just gotta look for them.
Oh, in Xenoblade for sure. Yeah. But if they did that in Breath of the Wild, that'd be great.
I just think it's
unique monsters.
The beginning of Xenoblade, you just see a level 81 gorilla, and you're like, oh, well, I'm dead. Yeah.
I like that they don't chase you. That's nice.
Yeah. They don't. They're kind of like, oh, he's too weak. I'm not giving him bother. But if you start a fight near them, they'll be like, oh, there's a fight going on. Let me join here.
Even in Colony 9, if you jump down into the water and you go to like the edges, little islands, there's some high level monsters there. There's no way you would ever win against them.
Yeah.
Like they'll just one shot you.
So I see a question here from Ronnie Fazio. I just got home, so I don't know if someone's already brought it up. Do you think that Link will still have the champion abilities? I think it's an interesting question. I'm going to say no, even though they're really cool. Maybe they'll have equivalents, but not quite those. Because those, spoiler alert, those abilities come from the champions. And when you use them, you still see their spirit. But once you defeat Calamity Ganon, they sort of have that moment. You see that cutscene of them. They're all there with the king, and it looks like they're going to finally rest in peace. Given that, it seems that they're going to rest in peace, I would think that their spirits are going to be gone, and those spirits will no longer be with you to fight, so you will no longer have their powers. Now, if there's some sort of training you can do, or maybe you learn from the successors to the champions where you get a similar ability, maybe they could do something along those lines, but I think you won't start the game with the champion abilities, because at least from a story perspective, it seems like they are resting in peace now, and they won't be fighting with you anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
That sucks. I like the champions.
They were cool, which is why I hope
that
they have...
Are not as cool.
No, but it would be nice to see if maybe they have character growth. Like, Yunobo's kind of lame, but what if he becomes, like, really cool? Like, what if he, like, he starts working out, and his voice starts to develop? Because, remember, what's his face? What is the Goron from the past? What's his name? It's based off Darunia, but I don't think it's Darunia.
Oof.
I'm gonna look it up. Daruk. See, Darunia, Daruk. Daruk, thank you. So, Daruk, I think at one point he mentions how he was like Yunubu. So maybe, there is going to be a similar like level of growth there, and he'll become like Daruk someday. Maybe throughout the course of Breath of the Wild 2, we see that character growth, which I think is cool. I like it when we see characters from one point and they develop into something else. That'll be really neat to see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Breath of the Wild, it was sad that you get to see these characters, but they're dead.
Yeah.
So it's like you got attached to like Mipha or Bosa, but you just realize they're dead.
Yeah, they're dead. When I first
What's
played
the
the game, I was
point?
hoping that maybe like their body had been in stasis 2 the whole time, and then they were just like sort of speaking to us kind of like Zelda. But no, that was just their spirit, and yes.
So
They were-
like
Yeah.
they didn't really give the spotlight to the new champions. Like I barely remember their names.
Yeah.
So except for Scion, and so I'm not as attached. Like they gave more screen time to the older ones,
Yeah.
which is fitting because it's set in the past.
But
Most of the
it would
story.
be nice to see.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the story's gonna be stronger in this game, and actually that brings me to the final rumor I was gonna discuss, which is related to the story. So I'll just say this rumor now. So basically, this other rumor, if you look at the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, it does seem like a story trailer, right? Well, the basic idea behind the rumor is that Ganondorf will rise to power, maybe take hold of the castle or something, and what's gonna happen is that his darkness will sort of cover Hyrule, and you'll have to sort of work through the provinces, unlocking them. Kind of like, like in Twilight Princess, how like that you have to go through from one province to another, unlocking them, like dispelling the darkness. You do something similar in Breath of the Wild 2, and what that allows is that it's a bit more of a linear story in the beginning of the game, but as you unlock the different provinces, the game opens up, and eventually, by the end of things, the world ends up being a bigger, denser version of the original Hyrule in Breath of the Wild 2 and 1. So you get the linear story we wanted, but you also still eventually get that open world.
Yeah, I mean, like story-wise, there's a lot of flags. Like, why is he able to capture a whole castle in like one swoop? Let alone the whole like other stuff, and put him in darkness. And another thing is, how are they going to do it without the Sheikah technology? And everybody said their goodbyes. All right, guys, how are we gonna do it now?
Well,
Zelda.
That's what would make it interesting, though. So you would have this Ganondorf. I believe it's really likely that he's going to be far more powerful than just his angry energy in the past. Like, this is going to be the source of it. So he's in a lot more power. He's probably the one that's rising the castle. He's probably going to have way more to do. He's going to cause more destruction than in the past. And that's going to be a huge element. Now, I don't know if this rumor is true, but I do think it's a good idea to do something along those lines. What'd you say?
It doesn't make sense.
Which part?
Because, okay, Calamity Ganon was his residual hateness of everything seeping out.
Sure.
Okay, understand. But they didn't take into account what would happen if whatever seals him. Because Zelda's supposed to be the one who seals Calamity Ganon. So maybe she's supposed to seal Ganon.
But she lost her powers.
Then that's like stupid on their part. Like, why would you put all the defenses off and then the big guy comes out? They're gonna have to know that.
Well, I guess we'll have to see what happened. But it could be that, I mean, keep in mind, this is ancient technology from some people who are already dead. So they probably had a target and then that's it. Or maybe the Yiga have something to do, and since they have a knowledge of that technology, they take control of it or something.
It's underground. Like, maybe. Throughout Breath of the Wild, they were planning this whole thing. That would make more sense than him just rising in and then push. It's like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, and, we do need to know, why the seal is broken.
So I watched I watched a few videos on it recently and sort of looking at the trailer. I think the idea right now is that Ganondorf, Link and Zelda, for whatever reason, were exploring under there. Why? Not sure, but they were exploring under there.
Intentional.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Link and Zelda, their job at the end of Breath of the Wild 1 is to try and restore Hyrule. So maybe going under to the ruins and sort of studying the culture and see what's going on there. Maybe there's something there, and that's why they're exploring there. Or maybe they saw that there's something going on. They wanted to figure out what it was.
A Yiga person disguised himself as the Impa, and then that one was like, you need to go down here at this time, this hour. So they go down there, and then they get trapped.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
The Yiga thing always, they transform into, like, people.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. They could have maybe disguised themselves and tricked Link and Zelda to go down there, and their presence could have stirred Ganondorf. And what happens is, when we watch the trailer, the hand that is holding in Ganondorf it actually helps grab Link when he's falling from the shift. So what could happen is maybe Link and Zelda being there causes Ganondorf to stir. He breaks the ground. Zelda falls. Link goes to grab her, but they're both in danger. And since Link and Zelda are important, right? Like Zelda, like her lineage, like if she dies, there's a big problem there, given her powers and importance. She's a princess of Hyrule, and then Link's the hero. You lose those two heroes, then they're in trouble. So maybe the hand instinctively saves them because that's more important to save them than to keep the seal. Because if you lose them, you lose all hope for Hyrule. So because of that earthquake that Ganondorf caused, even though he was trapped, they had to be saved by the hand. And when the hand let go, the seal was broken, and Ganondorf was released.
Oh yeah, that's like two Triforce pieces right there.
Yeah.
Maybe the Yiga were planning to like kill them once they were there, or something.
Could be.
That's why they didn't get them to go there. But
Yeah.
that's just my theory.
You think we'll actually get more mention of the Triforce? Because that's like
Yes,
barely brought up
100%.
at all in Breath of the Wild.
I don't know if you guys saw my video that I posted yesterday, but I had a shot of like in the thumbnail I put Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf.
And Goat.
And Goat.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it could be the greatest game of all time. Maybe. But the idea is that if all three characters are going to be in it this time around, then we did not see the Triforce addressed at all in Breath of the Wild 1. But with all three characters involved this time around, maybe that will come into play. So I think there's something there. I think it could maybe happen.
They didn't really mention the Triforce that much in Breath of the Wild.
They didn't. But there also wasn't a Ganondorf. There was just like the force of nature that was Calamity Ganon. But now with an actual personality, I'm assuming, with Ganondorf, there's more conversation to be had about the three-way Triforce here.
Maybe they didn't know, like, Zelda knew she had some secret power, but she didn't know it was connected to Triforce.
Yeah, and it almost looked like Zelda had the whole Triforce too at the end, which is weird.
It did.
Yeah.
It did seem like that.
So maybe she lost it, and now they'll have to, like, regain it, but this time Zelda will just have the one piece, Ganondorf will have the other, and Link will have the other.
Yeah, because Link was there, so that covers the courage. Zelda was there, wisdom. I mean, Ganon was there, even though he was a pig. But yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's thematics.
I see Grief and Globe saying, I see some people around the internet hope Ganondorf's a good guy in this new game for some reason. Yeah, I think that's just a meme.
What is he, the new Bowser?
I like it that as a theme and being different. I think Link should talk, but that's just a whole different conversation. Yeah. But that would be so cool because that would really kind of blur the line between, Ganondorf is his own person. Ganon is a separate entity.
I would say the closest thing we've had to a good Ganondorf is the one in the Wind Waker, because he explains his reasoning in that game.
Yeah, he was smarter.
He was
just like a pig.
They talked about how he grew spiteful towards Hyrule because his people suffered in the desert, and he was like, why is there this beautiful, prosperous green land right next to us? What's the difference? And if you go, and he's the same Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, so you go in Ocarina of Time, there is relations there. He probably wanted, for the Hyrule land to be shared with the Gerudo people. So there's probably some actual politics there, and probably some of his motivations were for his people, which is a righteous thing. But eventually that spite and hatred sort of probably took him down a dark, dark path. Like, you could make that argument, and Ganondorf isn't necessarily a bad guy for that reason.
He has the Triforce of power.
Yeah.
I mean, that power could have been done for good, but that, the whole thing about Zelda is, courage, wisdom, and power. Power is bad, wisdom is wisdom, courage is, yay, hero.
Yeah.
So
I don't
think power is necessarily bad. I think,
well,
I mean, the Triforce of power itself isn't.
Yeah,
we know now that, power doesn't mean bad, but in all of Zelda games, like, the Triforce of power always equated to bad because it was only in Ganon, or Ganondorf, or Fozzie.
I want to point out, though, that the Ganondorf that we see in pretty much every single Zelda game but one is the exact same Ganondorf. And Ocarina of Time is the origin story for that Ganondorf. He obtains the Triforce of power there. So the point I'm making here is that every game we've seen Ganondorf in using the Triforce of power, that's because it's the same Ganondorf that got it in Ocarina of Time. So under different circumstances, maybe someone else get the Triforce of Power.
I don't think Breath of the Wild's connected to the timeline.
Well,
there's too much plot holes.
It's there. It's officially at the end of all of them.
They can make Ganondorf its own entity, but not the ones from the previous, because that makes no sense.
I think it 100% is the exact same Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, and which also would be the exact same one from Twilight Princess, because they actually show the same wound that was in the center of the chest area, the torso area. It's right there, the same one that he had in Twilight Princess. He has the same jewelry.
I think Breath of the Wild is a retelling of the timeline. I think it's kind of what's the word? They kind of had to take back some aspects, and Breath of the Wild is kind of a new retelling of it because the timeline's messed up, and they kind of just want to make stuff make sense. So they're kind of going down. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, if you read there's different Zelda books, and yes, there is some retcons throughout, but there is a connection. At the same time, I do agree that I think maybe they did decide to put Breath of the Wild so far into the future so that they wouldn't have to worry too much about the connection, because if you look, there's evidence for all 3 different timelines of the game. Totally.
That's why I think they've retconned the whole thing.
But I also think that there still is intentional connections being done, and the Ganondorf that is underground is the exact same Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, because the thing is, the same Ganondorf has been the same Ganondorf in every single game.
Yeah, but he's always been.
It's the same person under different circumstances.
Said to be the only male in the Gerudo tribe. They didn't mention that when we went there, and their customs are way different, and it just doesn't make any sense. They probably retconned the whole thing and made it into a more mainstream kind of linear timeline like it's supposed to be, not what if scenarios, because that just confuses people.
I like it. I like the theorizing.
There could be Easter eggs here or there, references, but not that's the Ganon from Ocarina of Time, so when he wakes up he's gonna see Ocarina of Time Link and then get confused when he sees Breath of the Wild Link. I don't think that's gonna happen.
He already understands that they are reincarnated because he's dealt with it before. Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time, and I'm assuming that scar is the same one from Twilight Princess. So because there's timeline splits, we see Ganondorf in different timelines, but it's not a reincarnation. It's the exact same person from Ocarina of Time. So
it's a reincarnation. It has to be.
It's not. It's not.
If Link is reincarnated, if Zelda's reincarnated,
but Ganondorf is an evil wizard with a Triforce of Power. It's he becomes the Demon King. So he transcends human life.
No, Ganon is the one that lives on. He's the demon that lives on. Ganondorf, the person from the Gerudo tribe, is not the same person. Because there could be another
he factually is.
By the name Ganondorf.
He factually, the one that's in Twilight Princess is factually the same Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. It's the exact same person. It's not a reincarnation. It's the exact same person.
That's true, but not Breath of the Wild.
Well, what I'm saying is, it's a theory, right? But it's also a widely believed theory that it's the same one from Twilight Princess, because he has the same scar. He's in chains. They did all these.
Scar does not mean the same thing. And Link and Zelda, they get reincarnated. That's the whole thing since Skyward Sword. They keep getting reincarnated. So does Ganondorf. So it doesn't surprise me when there's another Ganondorf, when there's another Link, and there's another Zelda. Now we get.
It's just that it's never happened before.
The princesses are named Zelda, but we never get explained why every sword dude is named Link, or every Gerudo guy is named. It could be the same thing. Every Gerudo guy is Ganondorf.
Well, they could do. I'm not saying they can't do reincarnations, because there is one game that has another Ganondorf. But throughout the entire history of Zelda, there's every game that's had Ganondorf but one is the same Ganondorf. Now, we don't know, right? Because to your point, in Breath of the Wild, right, we don't know who that Ganondorf is. It may not be it may be a reincarnation, like you're saying. My theory is that it is the exact same from Twilight Princess given the scar, because he's already shown to live for hundreds of years. Because he did it from Ocarina of Time to the Wind Waker, he did it from Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess.
Down there, but there hasn't been connections to the main line. I mean, Breath of the Wild to the other games, and I think Breath of the Wild is a retcon to start kind of a new linear, timeline. It's not really, oh, he's the one from Ocarina of Time, because that would make no sense. That's
I don't agree, because we've seen him survive for hundreds of years already. So there's precedent there already.
The setting of Hyrule is different. Is he like a parallel Ganondorf? Or they're going that way? I don't think so. I like the reincarnation because it explains why there's always a Ganondorf or Ganon, why there's always a Zelda, and why there's always a Link. Well, so there's not an explanation of who's who, what are they related?
So,
because
to your point,
they always have to be there.
To your point, in Skyward Sword, when we see Demise is like the original Ganondorf. He says that his spirit of hatred, will follow Link and Zelda for generations.
And Ganondorf are two different entities.
Yes and no. It's like
Ganon is
Ganondorf
the one that becomes and gets reincarnated, and so does Ganondorf.
Ganondorf becomes Ganon in Ocarina of Time during the battle when he obtains the Triforce of Power. That allows him to become the Demon King Ganon, and that's why with the Fallen Hero timeline, when Link loses in the fight to Ganon supposedly, that's why in the Fallen Hero timeline it's all Ganon and no Ganondorf, because he stayed Ganon as the Demon King throughout those games. But in the other two, he is defeated.
It was Ganon first, not Ganondorf.
Say it again.
Ganondorf is possessed by Ganon, or the Triforce of Power, which could be just called Ganon, who knows. So I don't think the timeline is correct, and I think Breath of the Wild is a retcon. So that's where you and me differ, because you think it's the same one, while I think it's just a reincarnated version.
Yep.
For that one, because it wouldn't make sense. Like, why are they in different timelines, different Hyrules, different games? It won't make sense.
Well, let me ask you this though: would you say that Twilight Princess Hyrule is a different Hyrule from Ocarina of Time?
Twilight Princess is, yeah, I would say that, but they're more thematically there, where you can make a case where.
Okay, then what about the one from Wind Waker to Ocarina of Time?
No.
But so here's the thing, though. Because they're in different games, different art styles, so they are represented differently. But story-wise, they're the exact same Hyrule, just in the future. So Breath of the Wild, from what we understand, from what we've been told in interviews, it is the same Hyrule as the one in Ocarina of Time, but there's been so many years that have passed, so much has changed in the world. We're not talking about 100 or 200 years, we're talking about maybe thousands upon thousands of years in the future. So much has changed. So topography has changed, civilizations have changed, a whole sorts of things have changed, and also they're going to represent things differently in a different game. That's just how it's going to be. But story-wise, what I think, as I've said, because we've seen Ganondorf live throughout multiple generations and seen multiple Links, and given what we've seen of the design, given the scars and the hole in the chest and the jewelry, it does appear to be the exact same Ganondorf, especially because for most games it's been the same Ganondorf. Say it again?
Thousands and thousands of years in the future, I buy more the reincarnation than him being the same person, because, okay, Ganondorf and Ganon are two different entities. The scars could literally be a coincidence.
They're not exactly two different entities. It's more like Ganon is a form of Ganondorf. It's like when Goku goes Super Saiyan, Ganon is like Super Saiyan for Ganondorf. It's like a transformation for him.
Yeah.
If you take Ganondorf away from Ganon, they're two different entities.
They are the same being.
Not true.
So it's
I mean, I could go at this for hours, but just to end it, I'm just gonna say Breath of the Wild, I think, is a retcon from the other games, so to make it more understandable to other people. So the Ganon in Breath of the Wild is not the Ganon or the Ganondorf from other games, because that won't make sense. And it sounds better if he was reincarnated, just like Link is, and just like Zelda is.
And that you could be right. And I do at least agree that I do think that, I mean, for a fact, it is no debate. There have been retcons throughout the Zelda timeline that they've done that repeatedly. They will continue to do that because it is a little messy for sure. But I still stand by the idea, and this is still a theory until proven otherwise, right? You could be right, I could be right, we'll see. But I think considering what they've done with Ganondorf, who's been the same character but one throughout the entire history of the Zelda games, they're going to use the same Ganondorf, especially considering what they've had. But, like you said, maybe they just want to start from scratch, and there you go. So
theoretically, they can use the same Ganondorf, just reincarnate him, like they did with Link and Zelda.
We'll see.
Do you ever wonder, like, was the previous, like, Zelda's mom, was she the previous Zelda, or...
I don't think so.
Like, they just get reincarnated at a certain time so they could duke it out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have one without the others.
It's interesting. Like, do you consider... So my thing is that I wonder, are they considered the same person, or are they just taking the same job? You know what I mean? Like, they say the spirit of the hero, but does that actually, in terms of Zelda lingo, right? Does that actually mean...
I feel like it's kind of like Avatar. You know,
I just started watching Avatar, actually, so I'm not entirely... Like, it looks like they have different personalities, but are they just the same person
they're
under
completely
different
different people.
Okay.
I think that Zelda has a more, like, genetic role in there, because they're always in the royal family. It stays there, but Link, I think it's up in the air, and Ganon is always the same person, just another reincarnation. Because they say, like, in Gerudo, a male is born every 100 years. That gives a good time to reincarnate somebody.
I mean, it could be a reincarnation, but I think... Because here's the other thing you have to take into consideration. They've actually already confirmed, basically, that dude... Basically? So, well, let me explain. So, what we do know for a fact, the Calamity Ganon has been around for over 10,000 years. Right? Now, would you agree that from the trailer, that corpse is the source of that Calamity Ganon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you assume that to be the case, that means that corpse has been in there for over 10,000 years.
It could be a corpse, yeah.
So my point is that Ganondorf has been around for over 10,000 years, assuming it's the source of the Calamity Ganon. And if it's been there for over 10,000 years, at that point, once you're going that far back, it does make sense for him to potentially be the Ganondorf from Twilight Princess and
he's sealed away.
Right.
So, like, he can't live on that many years, but the reason he's there is because he was sealed. He's a corpse of hatred, and that magical hand is keeping him down. Who knows, like...
Right. But that's why I think he's not a reincarnation. He's the same one. He's been sealed there, mummified for thousands of years.
I think he's a different dude, but...
We'll see.
We'll leave it up to speculation.
We'll see. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this game. Do you guys think, I guess, a final little talking point before we end things here. Well, I'll say what it is. I want you guys to think about it, and then I'll check in with the chat. So, the final talk I want to make before I check in with the chat here, at this point, and we talk about this all the time, but at this point, where do you stand and when we'll see the game come out? Or at least when we'll finally see footage of the game again? So, ponder that for a second. I want to check in with the chat here, and then we'll tackle that and we'll call it a night. Let's see here. Terry Surface Anatomy. I think Breath of the Wild 2 will be the last time Ganondorf will be able to resurrect. Maybe.
Resurrect?
In Breath of the Wild, you can find locations from other games and specific items from other games. You can't have the Twilight Princess plates without the Twilight Princess, but you can't have the Sea Rocks without Wind Waker either. Zelda's a family line, Link is a hero who rises up when needed, Ganon is the same guy. That's been the story throughout, and it is interesting how we see different, conflicting pieces of evidence for different games. And, to Mandy's point, it could be like a bit of a reset.
I don't think the games were meant to connect. I think they're more loosely connected, like the world thematically, but not the games connect.
I don't think they try really hard to make a cohesive, connecting story.
Because they don't really connect, but they're still in the series. I don't know.
Yeah. My thinking has been that at least with Breath of the Wild, that it takes, even because there is like evidence for like the different timelines, but and it's weird, but I guess how the way it manages to make sense is that because it's so far into the future, if you consider that the different things that happen in the different timelines are eventualities for all of them, if you go far enough in time, eventually you see the Rito. Eventually there is an ocean with Seesaw. Eventually there are Koroks. These different things that we thought were exclusive to one timeline. Say that again?
But the Ganondorfs cannot be the same. That makes no sense. Because if it's so far into the future, how does that one guy live for that long?
Because he's not human.
He mummified for 10,000 years.
I mean, it's a fact that mummy has been there for 10,000 years. So whether you believe he's Ganondorf or not, he's been alive for 10,000 years.
The Ganondorf from the same thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. Because if we're looking at what you say, you zoom in the time warp in the future and everything's just converged, I don't think it's the same dude.
We'll see. We'll see.
Unless he specifically says, "Are you the hero of time?" Oh.
Well, this Ganondorf has seen multiple links throughout time. The story is that because of his multiple failings, eventually his hatred gives up and just becomes a force of nature that is Calamity Ganon.
Ganon is the... Okay, go back to the Demise, like... he cursed every whatever to hatred, so where there's a Link in a Zelda, there has to be a Ganon, because someone's gotta hate. Haters gotta hate. So, he has to be there. That's just it. Okay, so, whether he's...
I want to go back to what I was trying to say earlier. So, like, to your point earlier, Mandy, about how it seems like Breath of the Wild is a bit of a... I agree. There is definitely retcons happening. And to simplify things, it maybe just made a game far into the future, but it is also possible they eventually tell us exactly which timeline it fits. That may still be something they will tell us in the future. Right now, from interviews, they want us to just continue to think about it and try and figure it out for ourselves. And maybe they'll never reveal the truth. Maybe your truth is that it's just a reset and who cares. Maybe someone else's truth is that it's like one timeline.
Girl. I know the freaking timeline like the back of my hand, but like I feel like it's a flawed thing, like story-wise. Especially when you newcomers and stuff. I'm not gonna say
it is not simple. I'll give you that.
Exactly.
But what I wanted to explain though was that my theory, my personal theory, is that because Breath of the Wild takes place so far into the future, the reason we have conflicting pieces of evidence like the sea salts, the Rito, the Koroks, all these different things, the Lynels, like all these different things happen in different timelines, right? So my thinking is that with each timeline, eventually you will get all those different things. Like it's almost like it's destiny that eventually Lynels will come into existence. Like because before Breath of the Wild, they were only in the Fallen Hero timeline, but we see them.
That's the whole message of Zelda, the reincarnation thing.
There's like a destiny
motif
to
destiny
Zelda. Exactly. So if you go far enough into any timeline, eventually Destiny will have Lynels. Destiny will have Koroks. Destiny will have Ritos.
That's why people want Ganondorf not to be evil, because that's the break in the whole spiral of...
And I'm not saying I'm opposed to Ganondorf being... I don't think he's for sure not a good guy in this game. I'm telling you that. But...
Just because he has red eyes does not mean anything. But he could be a bad person.
He's the source of calamity, Ganon. He's been killing people in civilization for thousands of years.
But I can get why people want him to be a different person or a better person, because that breaks the whole cycle.
So think about this for a second, though. To your idea, in Skyward Sword, there was a trio. With Link, Zelda, and guess who that third one was?
Ganondorf?
No, that's not... I mean, say who was it? Who was it, Brandon?
Demise.
Well, you could be right, but I have another one. Groose! Now, hold on. All that might sound crazy, but think about this for a second.
I was taking you seriously first.
No, hear me out. So, there was a bit
I know exactly where you're coming from.
Just because he has red hair means nothing.
Well, hold on.
Jesus.
Hold on. There was a bit of a romantic triangle between Groose, Link, and Zelda, right? They both were interested in Zelda and all that. Groose was a bit of a bully, sure, but his stature was the taller, bigger dude. If you compare Link's shape to Ganondorf throughout history, it's been similar. But my thinking isn't so much that Groose is Ganondorf. My thinking is that Groose is one of the first early Gerudo. Because these people in Skyward Sword eventually become all the people that live all throughout Hyrule. So some of these people do have to become the ancestors for the different races, right? So Groose has yellow eyes, like Gerudo, has red hair, like Gerudo, has a very large stature, like Gerudo, and at the end of Skyward Sword, he flies off with his friends, apparently towards the desert. So
I mean, I could get that because, of course, science. You're gonna need to repopulate, and it's gonna closely resemble where you are. Now, that doesn't explain the whole girl phenomenon, where there's always a girl, one dude.
Dude's
but
cursed.
That could be just like a curse. I don't know. But that's said, that doesn't mean Groose is like the next Ganondorf.
Oh, well, Groose is a guy's guy. But my point is that what if Groose basically is like that, like he is that line? Like what if Groose is the ancestor for Ganondorf? Is my point.
I mean, yeah, that's understandable.
He has red hair, tall stature, yellow eyes. Those are traits of a Gerudo. And these are the early people of Hyrule, and supposedly flies off into a direction that could be the desert. So I'm saying, and
Skyward Sword was the first, canonically Zelda game.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that what if Groose basically is a good guy Ganondorf?
I would believe that. He was good at the end. He might have been annoying, but he was...
So maybe what happens, but the thing is, the evil spirit had not been cursed to plague Link and Zelda for generations until Skyward Sword. So maybe that ancestral line, that the heritage for Groose, whatever that becomes, they are the ones that are cursed by the Demon King. They were the other party involved, besides Link and Zelda.
Yeah.
So you take the descendants of Groose plus the evil spirit of demise, Ganondorf.
Groose is Hylian. He has the ears.
Mm-hmm.
But it could, dwindle over time. That I could believe. I could believe all that. But that doesn't mean that the Ganondorf and Groose, he could just be like the start of the generation. And then, as time goes on, how the heck did the girl phenomenon thing then?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't know.
Someone says
maybe there's another game that will explain it sometime. Or maybe there's something out there that we've missed. But so final question though, to end the discussion. At this point, where do you guys stand? Do you think we'll see Breath of the Wild soon? Do you think we'll get a trailer for it, an announcement for it? Do you think it'll maybe be the big holiday game that needs something at the end of the year? We don't know what it'll be yet. Or do you think it's saying it'll come later on?
I think it'll come towards the end of the year, later on. I'm sorry, Brandon.
No.
We'll get it because the schedule's messed up. So who knows?
Yeah. Obviously, I want it to come out at the end of the year, but currently, if my gut feeling is that we'll see it within the next few months, because obviously, I think they need to show it off again, and they're gonna need to show off more things. They're gonna have to have some kind of event eventually, and I think they'll show that off probably within the next few months. I don't think it would be like into winter for sure. I'm thinking like very late summer or very early fall, like maybe September. But we definitely need to see it, I think, because my thinking is, me and you, Andres, we both thought it was planned for 2020, and if it was planned for 2020, obviously they planned to show it off.
Mm-hmm.
So with E3 not being here, there's got to be some kind of alternative to E3 where they show off the stuff they were going to show off at that event. Because I don't think they're just going to not show it off.
Yeah, I
don't think they just completely scrapped it.
Nintendo Direct or the missing Direct or the...
Mm-hmm.
Because we all want Direct.
Yeah, I don't think they took every announcement that they had in that Direct and just,
No, they canceled the announcements. They just aren't going to show them out there. The announcements are still coming. Look at the Paper Mario trailer. So here's the thing I didn't bring up earlier, but this is my thinking right now. Besides Pokemon news and Smash news this month, I'm expecting an announcement for another game from Nintendo to come out in August. Why?
Well,
We don't
they
know. Go on.
they didn't make the direct, so we have all these games or stuff we don't know about. It wouldn't surprise me if they shadow dropped a bunch of stuff.
I think there's going to be some reveals soon. I think at least one game needs to be announced this month, and that game will be coming out in August, at least. Because right now, we do not have a slated Nintendo game for August. Now, a few weeks ago, we got the announcement trailer for Paper Mario coming out in July. So now we have at least one big Nintendo game for July. I think there's going to be something in August as well, and there will be an announcement. They can't announce it like a week beforehand. They have to announce it like with some distance. If you look at, they had a 9-week window between announcement and release for Paper Mario. I'm expecting some sort of announcement around this month to, so there can be enough time in advance before that game, they have a game for August. And maybe they skip August, maybe it's September, but either way, there has to be something within a month for whatever is to happen after July.
Take into account that I don't think they couldn't predict the coronavirus. So I don't think that was part of their plans to begin with, like
No,
August.
but this is an adjusted plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to me, I'm like, just to do a direct. You're not like directly near people, but whatever. That's a different topic. The thing, so it just kind of messed up the schedule, and they're kind of like revealing stuff closer to the game. Not like we would have gotten Paper Mario like months before, but they waited closer to
They
like
waited
July.
a while. Yeah, a very long time. That was still before E3 time, so they had to have initially planned to announce it before E3. I don't think they announced that sooner because E3 was canceled. Like, that game's coming out in July. Right? So, but I do think maybe initially they had probably planned a bigger Nintendo Direct, and it didn't happen, so we just got a Direct Mini in March. And maybe during that Nintendo Direct that we didn't get, they would have revealed Paper Mario a little bit earlier in the year. And along with other things. But right now it seems like what Nintendo's going to do is just have trailers 2 to 3 months before they come out to announce games. Yeah. So, yeah, my point is I expect something to be announced this month for August, and maybe there'll be more than that. Maybe they'll drop a few trailers, right? That's totally possible.
If they announce a direct, that would be nice.
Oh, yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting it, though.
I'm not, but it would be like, because you could announce all your stuff right then and there.
Right, I think the problem is they would also want to have the third-party stuff, and right now there's an issue communicating with all different partners, so that's why they don't have that set.
That's why the third parties, they say early and stuff, because they don't got control over that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that maybe the next time we see a Nintendo Direct is like September, and that can maybe there they like fully feature their holiday lineup, like the October through December potential games. Until then, we'll have a couple of Paper Mario like trailers. So maybe we get a trailer for Pikmin 3, the Mario remasters, 3D World Deluxe, maybe the rumored Metroid game.
Gee, if they just shadow drop that stuff, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
Imagine waking up and it's like Metroid Prime Trilogy confirmed.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
That'd be great. Yeah, I hope Prime Trilogy comes out this year, but I'm actually expecting it to come out next year at this point. Mainly because I think we're going to get a 2D Metroid this year. I mean, I'm happy with either, but, that's what I'm sort of thinking right now.
Reaction.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll say that the Paper Mario trailer had a Metroid tease, right? And I initially assumed 2D Metroid. And given the rumors and that it's been a few years since Mercury Steam worked on Samus Returns, the timing kind of works out for a 2D Metroid. But the producer for Paper Mario The Origami King is the same producer for Metroid Prime, period, like all of them, and the Donkey Kong games, and also Prime 4. So instead of it being a reference to maybe a 2D Metroid, which wouldn't be worked on by Kensuke Tanabe, what if Kensuke Tanabe, the man heading Paper Mario, wanted a reference towards another Metroid game, either Prime 4 or Metroid Prime Trilogy, and maybe announce it for something like that is right around the corner.
Remastered.
Say it again?
The Other M Remastered.
Other M Remastered. No, dude. Well, I mean, it would be cool, but no, not the story.
I would just love to see the reaction.
I got that game for $7 on the Wii, and it was great. For $7. It was
I
a
just
fun
saw
week.
the series, I was like, oh my god.
The story was okay. The gameplay was fun. Minus having to switch. The Wiimote thing was just kind of gimmicky. I like being in first person, but having to switch, and then there was parts where you had to sort of like look around the screen. It was kind of hard to find, like the Where's Waldo things. I didn't like it very much. That part of it, at least. So, yeah. But is there anything else you guys want to cover before we call it a night, guys?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna call it a night anyways.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming, guys. Yeah, it was a pleasure, Mandy, for sure. Guys, make sure to check out Mandy. Her channel's linked in the description below, as well as Brandon's as well. Yeah, is there anything else you guys want to say?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you, chat, for chatting.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was fun. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.